How many assholes we got on this ship anyhow? Yo! I knew it. I'm surrounded by assholes.
When you're young and watching a slightly naughty, adult-oriented movie, it's exciting, that feeling of danger and rebellion. When you're young and watching a slightly naughty, adult-oriented movie and it's side-splittingly hilarious and unforgettable, well, that's just Mel Brooks. Hello, and welcome to the Pop Culture Basement Podcast. My name is Mike Jamison. I am your host. And with me tonight, you know, you've got to remember that these are just simple farmers. These are people of the land, the common clay of the New West. You know, morons, or as I like to call them, my guests. With me tonight, once again, I have the all-star squadron of guests. First of all, first in our hearts, and first on my screen because I'm looking at him. This time it's going to be Bill that's pissing me off. He's not wearing a Dodgers jersey. He's wearing a Celtics hat. Bill Dunn, just a pawn in the game of life. How are you, Bill?
I don't know. I kind of wanted to try the all the flavors and just avoid Howard Johnson's outhouse. Doing good. Ready to have my abnormal brain really rock the house down.
And also with us tonight, what knockers? Brad, how are you doing?
Where the white women at?
All right, we're gonna start the edits off early in this episode. Brad, do you want to introduce the guest that you have that you have with you tonight? Also,
Yeah, my daughter's sleeping, so I wasn't able to get her on. It's she has school tomorrow, but I have my little radar teddy bear.
Aw, that is so freaking cute. I'm gonna come to your house and steal it one of these days. Also with us tonight, we did not see him playing with his dolls. Anthony, Foil Consortium, how are you?
Oh, it's good to be the king.
And last, but certainly not least, a bullshit artist, Bellacissa.
I did not bullshit last week, but I did try to bullshit last week. So.
And rough.
If anybody has not figured it out by now, this is the season finale of Pop Culture Basement, and I'm going to be releasing this on June 26th, which is the 100th birthday of the legend, Mr. Mel Brooks. And tonight, we are going to be not covering Mel Brooks. We are going to be celebrating Mel Brooks. We are going to be thanking Mel Brooks for helping to raise all of us and for helping to give us the sense of humor and the sensibility I think we all share and we try to share with the world. I'm not wrong in saying that, am I?
No,
definitely
that's
not.
your ass.
Just imagine being a 5-year-old in your basement. I know Bellacissa would have to imagine that because she's not in a basement. But being a 5-year-old in your basement and just your parents sitting you down in front of the TV and saying, here, this looks like a good movie. Watch this. And they know because they're already in their 20s and 30s and know who Mel Brooks is. And you get to watch History of the World Part 1. You get to watch Blazing Saddles. You get to watch Young Frankenstein. And nobody cares that people are cursing. Nobody cares that there's light homophobia. Nobody cares that there's Nazis running around on the screen. It's funny. And it will waste out 2 hours while your parents have to go and do something. It's the 70s, so they're probably smoking a cigarette while they're doing it. But they're not watching you while you're sitting in front of the TV watching Mel Brooks, and thank God for that. So a peek behind the curtain. Bellacissa knows this because she was a guest on the episode. On my other podcast, Sleazebag Cinema, we have already covered Blazing Saddles. And Bellacissa and I think Brad at one point, we had kind of said, hey, eventually we'd love to do a Mel Brooks episode. Mm-hmm. And then by the time everybody in the audience is hearing this episode, you will have heard the Princess Bride episode that I recorded with all of these fine people. And after that was done, we promptly changed our group chat from Princess Bride to Mel Brooks because we all said we should do a Mel Brooks episode.
Literally,
Absolutely.
right as we ended the recording on Princess Bride, we're like, what should we do next? And I think it was Brad that said, we need to do like the Mel Brooks episode. And we're like, well, when is that? Well, we'll release it on his 100th birthday. And we're like, you in? Yeah, you in? Yeah, okay. And then I think like immediately after, it was like within an hour, the group chat, I think it was Bellacissa that changed the group chat from Princess Bride episode to Mel Brooks episode. And I think the whole time we've just been like trying to bust each other up in some variant ways of capacity for this episode. Like we've been... So anybody that follows any of us on Twitter, you'll probably have seen us trying to bust each other up, watching different preparation for this episode.
But where did we learn subversion from, though? I mean,
Mel
really,
Brooks.
Yeah, exactly. And the good thing was all of us, I loved seeing everybody rewatching all the movies this week and saying, okay, I'm starting Young Frankenstein. I'm starting History of the World. Anthony's the only one who's like, hey, I'm starting the 12 Chairs because none of the rest of us could find it.
Such a good movie.
I'm sure it is. I wanted to watch To Be or Not to Be, but I couldn't find it. I couldn't believe that most of these movies weren't on some streaming channel free. I didn't think I'd have to rent most of them because I don't own... I know I'm a bad podcast host. I don't own History of the World Part 1, and I didn't own Silent Movie, and I hadn't seen Silent Movie probably in about 20-25 years, so it was fun to rewatch that again.
The only time I could buy it was
I did too. I was gonna buy it and just FedEx it over to you next day FedEx, but I figure I'll keep it.
I mean, the least like iTunes or Amazon could have done is put together like a little box set that for streaming. Download 5 of his movies. Whatever, $50 or whatever. They could have at least done something like that.
Especially with Spaceballs coming back out.
Yeah.
But I think it's MGM that owns the rights. I think it's MGM and. Well, you know who owns the MGM movie rights? It's the other creepy bald man who likes to stroke a cat, but he makes penis rockets instead of merriment.
I mean, it's like Spaceballs was on Amazon. I was able to find on YouTube 12 Chairs, but there are so many other movies that we could have watched that I opted not to, just because I've seen them so many times. Because he was like, it'll come around to this eventually, but like my dad and I are like opposite ends of two different cloths, right? Like my dad is a very devout Catholic. He retired and put his works into his faith, because faith without works is dead. Any Catholic will tell you that, right? I am none of those things. But the one thing that we had, especially in my rebellious, I'm going to grow my hair out. Oh, well, you can't grow your hair out. Okay, well, then I'll grow a mohawk, and then you'll let me grow it out. Go figure. Now I'm a cue ball, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing we had was Mel Brooks. Like, we could sit down and watch a Mel Brooks movie together, and we could laugh, and my mom would be like, this is just so stupid. Well, that's the point.
That's the point. It's so stupid that it's subversive and it's intelligent.
Yep.
And, we're going to bring it up a billion times, and I want to throw it out there now. My first experience with Mel Brooks, my first experience that I really remember was seeing a double bill of Young Frankenstein and Zorro the Gay Blade in a drive-in. My parents. It's the only time I ever remember going to a drive-in. My mom and dad and me and my brother, and saw Young Frankenstein and Zorro the Gay Blade, and then coming home and being scared shitless of Igor, because I think I was only 5 or 6 years old when we saw this. So then growing up, and every episode I bring up Prism, which was the local cable channel in Philadelphia. Young Frankenstein would always be on Prism. And it's one of my favorite movies of all time. Everybody was just talking about the movies they watched, the movies they didn't watch because they've seen them so many times. I didn't have to watch Young Frankenstein again because I've seen it so many times. And I watched it with my wife. I think this was maybe It might have been when it first came onto Blu-ray. I bought it on Blu-ray, and I said, of course, my wife had never seen it because she has seen 4 movies in her life and maybe liked 2 of them. So I said, sit and watch Young Frankenstein with me. We watched it, and she said, much like Anthony just regaled us with, she said to me, "Oh, stupid. Why do you think that's funny?" And I looked at her and said, "I love you, and I can't believe I married you." Young Frankenstein, and I think Mel Brooks, or it might have been a review of it, said it's one of the most beautiful comedies ever made. Just the way it looks, the way it's obviously a homage to those classic 30s horror movies and the original Frankenstein. That's really was my introduction to Mel Brooks. That, and then eventually Blazing Saddles. So those 2 have always been the pinnacle of Mel Brooks for me. But that's how that was my into the world of Mel Brooks, was being a kid of 8, 9, 10 years old, watching Young Frankenstein every other day on cable, watching Blazing Saddles every other day on cable because it was always on. And Mel Brooks was like your funny Uncle Mel. He was the guy who showed up every once in a while, was hilarious, but you always felt like you could hang out with him. You felt like he would have a snack for you, or that he would take you in and tell you a dirty joke, and you felt safe with your crazy Uncle Mel. And that's how I think of Mel Brooks. And thank God that he's still around, that we get to celebrate his 100th birthday. And like you guys just said, with Spaceballs, the next one, it was going to be
the new one. I think
the new one.
Yeah,
I still can't believe they're not going to call it Spaceballs. The search for more money. I can't believe they're not going to call it that. But
you know that line will come up though.
Oh, it's gonna.
It will be in the show.
I've never seen an almost 100-year-old, a 99-year-old, as energetic as he is.
Oh yeah,
and is just like on top of it, on the ball. That
yeah. That's the one thing I noticed in that teaser, is that he looks great, and he had all his faculties, and so it's like this guy he can't be 99.
No, and I mean you're getting new. Yeah, he's gonna the 1,000-year-old man. And you're getting new Mel Brooks, and you're getting Rick Moranis back. And I think Rick Moranis, over these last 30 years, could have came back when they rebooted Ghostbusters.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he could have came back for the million SCTV things that maybe, that they've done, documentaries and everything. He comes back for Spaceballs. He comes back for Mel Brooks. So Gen X is getting Mel Brooks, a new Mel Brooks, and they're getting Rick Moranis back next year.
Yeah, I mean, seeing the announcement,
the world is starting to heal itself a little bit.
Yeah, seeing the announcement was great. Seeing the announcement was great. Seeing Mel announce the movie was great. But seeing the pictures from the red carpet with Rick and Daphne, Rick and Bill, was like, that's what I've been waiting for.
Well, and again, how great is it that really Rick Moranis is this icon of not only comedy but also Gen X?
Yeah,
that could have continued doing what he was doing in Hollywood when he was doing it in Hollywood, but went, no, life has vastly changed for us, so screw you guys, I'm going home.
Yeah.
And the only person that could get him back is really, Rick, I just need you in the film.
Yeah. And you can't imagine somebody, I mean, obviously, God bless his soul, John Candy's no longer with us, so you're gonna use Josh Gad and have him, but you couldn't imagine anybody else. I'm sure they would have found a way to make it funny, but you couldn't imagine anybody else doing Dark Helmet. It
wouldn't be right.
It wouldn't be right.
I do like the angle they're going, because I did see some articles that they actually showed the footage at CinemaCon, and they actually showed Sick on it did a little summary, and it does look like Mel does have that zip. It looks like he's gonna trash the city. It looks like his targets are like modern day life, cinematic universes, and basically just taking a dump on all takers. And I saw some of the things, but I also like some of the casting. and I really hope they do it with a comedic with a Mel Brooks twist. I saw they
Yeah.
cast Lewis Pullman, who is
Yeah.
Bill Pullman's son, and I'm like, they have got to go. I'm like, I hope they did. I said to myself, like, gee, I hope they did. Then I saw the cast, they released it. They said, oh yeah, Lewis Pullman's in the cast. I go, oh, fantastic. I would love to see a Mel Brooks take on Kylo Ren and just go for it. Go unhinged, balls to the wall. This total thing, everything every Star Wars fan is thinking as we're watching the sequel trilogy, and just amp it up and just be Mel Brooks and just go, take kind of like it's an old poster I used to, back in the day, one of my dad's coworkers used to keep up before before they had to take it down, and it said one final act of defiance, and you see this big mouse in the corner and he's doing this. Flipping off an eagle as it swoops down upon him. It's like, Mel, go out swinging, Mel. Go out swinging, because I think we need a laugh more than we need a laugh. We need a Mel Brooksian. I mean, where the guy got his start? Do you know where Mel got his start by any chance?
What, with your show of shows?
Your show of shows with Sid Caesar, which I always found the ironic casting of in History of the World Part 1. Like the first man of comedy is like Sid Caesar. And I'm like, that always cracked me up. That was like and that what Mel was the king of. Okay. I mean, Mel got his start in the comedy clubs, the Borscht Belt, the upper New York Catskills, and it's, a lot more funnier than Dirty Dancing makes it out to be. It's a lot more funny than Patrick Swayze trying to get in Jennifer Grey's underage pants. What? Who said that? Who said she was underage? Who said that? Yeah, it's a lot creepier now.
But I
You look at it
look at how many of those influential people on Mel led to him being an influence on pop culture as a whole.
Yeah, because look at your show of shows. The writer's room was Carl Reiner, Neil Simon. Okay, so far we're getting
Larry Gelbart.
Larry Gelbart.
Larry Gelbart.
Because it all comes back to MASH.
Even funnier, it does go back to MASH, because I was actually the other night I was looking through something because I was watching High Anxiety, and I said to myself that the security guard in the airport where they're going through, I said, he looks familiar. I said, he looks like the Roman centurion with the kind of the voice there in History of the World. And I said, well, yeah, it is him. Move that miserable piece of shit. I said, that was him. And then I was going through the cast of Blazing Saddles. There's another MASH connection. Rosie, Ellen Sakai, is one of the Roman slaves. One of the Roman slaves being auctioned off. Rosie is one of the Roman slaves being auctioned off. So yeah, there is a MASH connection. It all goes back to MASH. Larry Gelbart or people that were in MASH.
We just didn't realize all of the little old Jewish men who influenced all our lives as we were growing up. Larry Gelbart, Mel Brooks.
But it's funny you mentioned that, because there's a very weird 6 degrees here in the tri-state area, not your guys' tri-state area, but the Midwest tri-state area, right? There's a Midwest connection in the fact that his cousin Bob Brooks, Bob Comiskey, became Cowboy Bob Brooks on the local morning TV show here. So, and that was based out of Louisville. Then he moved from the Louisville market to the Indianapolis market, and the Indianapolis market had to increase their broadcast strength, so that way they could get Cowboy Bob and Missy on Saturday mornings. But it was the person who paid for them to increase the broadcast strength, Mel Brooks.
Yeah.
Well,
it was interesting.
He was very influential in a lot of things with that. I mean, he's you could almost say that he's the reason David Lynch has a career, because he produced the Elephant Man, he chose David Lynch. Yeah, he chose David Lynch for that, and I was watching the 99-Year-Old Man, the HBO documentary yesterday, and they had David on, and he was talking about that, and he said that the producer called him up and asked him about. He said that Mel wanted to set up a screening for Eraserhead because he hadn't seen that yet. And he said, "Oh, okay, then I'm definitely not getting this job." He thought that was it. And he set up the screening at Fox and everything. And he's sitting outside, and all of a sudden he said, the doors of the theater opened up, and he just sees this little Jewish guy come running at him and gives him a big hug. And he goes, "You got the job. Like, it's yours."
He did the same thing though. He watched Rabies.
Yeah.
And he bankrolled Cronenberg's The Fly.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the thing is, he actually had a campaign to the studio to keep Brooks' film off the posters.
Yeah.
Because he did not want people walking in there going, "Oh, this is
thinking it's comedy."
This is some kind of comedic lampoon." But no, he was actually instrumental between him and the studio, because there's multiple stories in that movie with Lynch wanting his vision. And basically, he was the go-between to all the studio heads. Like, look, I'm Mel Brooks. Would you settle the hell down? Let him make the damn movie. Yep. And, and that's how he got to know. And that's one of the unlikely cameos ever happened. How he managed to get, I think he got along with John Hurt. And John Hurt played the Elephant Man. But he was also in History of the World Part 1. Jesus Christ, and that's the most weirdest cameo ever. And every time I do this, my old pastor, who actually had a sense of humor, was a huge Mel Brooks fan. And one time I busted him up so bad when I was a kid in Holy Thursday service. And he goes, we were doing something at the altar, and he signaled me to bring something over, because I was an altar server at the time. And he starts reading the gospel, and I go, "Is this all separate checks?" And he just looks at me, and he goes, "No." And every Easter every Palm Sunday I'll be going to church, and I'll hear the whole thing, and I'll just be like, "Does anybody else buy the mulled wine?" And they go, "Judas, try the mulled wine. It's fantastic." And I'm sitting there laughing. And even this year, I whispered to my mother, because she doesn't drive, so I had to take her to services. And she just looks at me and goes, "Not now." Funny, but not now, because my mother loves watching some of the Mel Brooks. Some of the Mel Brooks movies, she's like, "This is stupid." But some of them she will watch, like Spaceballs, she loves. History of the World, certain parts of it, she'll be like, "Is it the Roman Empire yet?" "No." "Okay, I'm going to watch that." We're past that. And High Anxiety is one of her personal favorites. She loves High Anxiety. Because and that was the thing I loved about Mel Brooks, something I was making a point of. There are so many that guy, that girl actors in this whole stable. Because if you look at the guy who played the assistant, Slim Pickens' assistant, in Bertram Gilliam in Blazing Saddles. He was in another comedic western. He was the cult salesman in Back to the Future 3. Sonny boy, I just said he was the cult salesman.
But you go back to Blazing Saddles, the guy who is in the shower stall when Mongo's coming through town is Sid Caesar.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's right.
I didn't realize until I watched this weekend, I binge watched 4 or 5 of Mel Brooks' movies. When I watched them prior, I did not get the little things that were in each one. Like Harvey Korman's character name is screwed up in every single thing he ever does.
Yes!
Yes.
Like, Madeline Kahn will always talk about her tits. Like, there's just, there are certain things, right? And you don't see that until you watch it all at one time. And you'll just see even characters that you would never have noticed. But because you saw them in that one, now all of a sudden you saw them in this one, you're like, oh, wait, same person.
Yeah.
No, in that same tradition seems to be carried on with modern, like, Jewish actors. Like Adam Sandler. He has his entire crew, the same group of, like, 6 guys that in some of these cases, he keeps employed because they're his friends. He loves making movies, and he wants to make movies with his friends. It's the
Yeah.
same thing with Mel Brooks, I think, because you go back to the show of shows and his relationship with Carl Reiner. Do you think, and I'm positing this for the class here, do you think that without the influence of Mel Brooks, that you would have some of the Reiner classics like Spinal Tap?
No,
The
you
Princess
wouldn't.
Bride,
No.
maybe eventually, but Spinal Tap, all of his mockumentary style stuff, that is very much more Mel than his dad.
I mean, Reiner was even admitting because some of the big. I was watching some documentaries on him when he passed away, and yeah, they said Mel was like this, again, because as Mike said, crazy uncle who just kind of taught him stuff. And I mean, the friendship of Brooks and Carl Reiner is kind of funny
Hmm.
because the story during COVID where they would actually meet, they would actually go get their lunch or dinner from a deli. One of their traditions was always go get dinner from the deli. I'd sit, and I guess Jeopardy came on at 6:30, seven
Yep.
o'clock at night
Yeah.
out in California. They would sit, eat their pastrami, eat their brisket, you know, kvetch over Jeopardy, and go home.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
I'm sure
he
Brad
said,
knows because Brad was saying he watched the documentary. Man, I
Yeah.
watched it too when Seinfeld was doing
Yeah.
riding and having coffee in
Uh,
cars with
yeah.
comedians. I guess he went to record an episode with them, and it shows them. And I think that's one of the reasons why I always liked Mel Brooks, and as I said, I likened him to your crazy uncle because I grew up with those Italian uncles like that. You knew the uncle who was coming over, who he's gonna, you know what, we could like get away with stuff with Uncle Johnny because he doesn't care, and he's the fun uncle. Mel
He's the
Brooks
guy
was
that gives you the beer at the family reunion.
exactly.
Yep.
Mel
yeah,
Brooks was the fun uncle, but I also felt like when I watch scenes like that with him and Carl Reiner, I know what that's like because I've seen my family members do
Yeah.
that as they got older. And
same.
it's so for these legends, for these Mount Rushmore of comedy legends to just be sitting there with TV trays and they need to do
Yeah.
their normal every night routine of watching Jeopardy. It's so they're menches. They're so
Yeah.
down to earth, and it doesn't matter that he was married to Anne Bancroft, and he
I was
listen.
about to
You
say,
talk
yeah,
about
that was
Oh,
a
out.
terrible
man,
You
Bancroft.
talk
role,
about out kicking your coverage, and
Oh
Mel
yeah.
Brooks would be the first one to tell you that he
Yeah,
outkicked his
he
coverage.
punched above his weight class,
He
Yeah.
and
did, but it goes to show you that if you're funny, it doesn't matter if you look like Mel Brooks because if you're funny and you see it in that it's a great documentary.
Yeah.
You see
Oh,
it in that
it's
documentary.
fantastic.
They were totally in the way they talked about each
inseparable.
other and the
Yeah.
way she talked about him and the way he talked about her.
Yeah.
That's the kind of relationship you want to have. I mean, they
Yeah.
were
And
Yeah,
so in love.
yeah, and he's talking to his granddaughter, and she's asking him questions, and they have a good relationship and everything. And she had asked him, about relationships with boyfriends, and he goes, they're no, good looking, if that's one thing, that's like the second or even the third most important thing is like you want them to be funny, you want them to have personality, you want them to be able to take you out, and that you're able to interact with them. Looks could fade, but their personality won't. And so it really goes back to that. And in the in that documentary, they're talking about their Carl and Mel's relationship. Rob was even saying that Mel was there when Carl died.
yeah,
He was
yeah.
he was there with the ambulance came, and he's telling him for an hour, keep doing the defibrillator, bring him back. And then Rob was saying that after Carl passed, Mel still came over to the house. He every day he would still go over. He had to, he would sit there and he'd have his meal, and Mel told him, when you're getting ready to sell the house, let me know and I'll stop coming. But he needed that to be able to to fulfill, his every day. And Rob was very funny. He was like, maybe we'll just put him into the advertisement. You want the house, come, and Mel will come with it.
He's kind of the godfather, right? Like he's the godfather of all comedy that any of us have ever known. And he's the only person that could get Orson Welles to narrate history of the world. Yep. Like if anybody else had made that movie, Orson Welles would not be narrating it. I promise. Well,
Hitchcock. He got Hitchcock to okay a parody about his movies.
Yeah.
He was scared because Hitchcock walked out and he didn't know what was going on. But he said like you said, he gets all these people. It's almost similar to a Weird Al, where everyone wants to work with Weird Al. Yeah. If he parodies my song, I've officially made it. If Mel Brooks.
It's the same thing with George Lucas, where he went to Lucas and said, "Can I do this?" And Lucas said, "The only thing that I don't want you to do is don't come out with." Well, no, it was that.
The merchandise.
He was like, "Don't." Of course, I listen. Yeah. I love Lucas. I'll do an episode on him eventually. I love him, but of course, he said to him, "I don't want you to put out action figures because they look too much like my action figures," which is why he has the scene of Rick Moranis playing with the action figures. And he also said to him, "And also don't make him look too much like Han Solo." So he
so he made him look like Indiana
Jones. Look like Indiana Jones.
Yep.
But Lucas actually ILM helped with some of the post production on the special effects. Yeah. I think that's why we're talking about how respected he is, like the godfather of comedy.
Yeah.
Especially for our generation. Like, thank God there are no you never hear anything. Like I said, he's immense. You never heard anything about Mel. There was never a big controversy with Mel Brooks. And I think that's also why he can get away with what he gets away with. And I joked about it like, there's a little light homophobia. But he is, as I keep calling him, Crazy Uncle Mel. He's joking. He doesn't mean it. That's why he can do Blazing Saddles. And he can have the jokes that he has in it. Yep. And everyone will laugh. And it doesn't matter.
He had the status to push. Because Blazing Saddles, again, no one but Mel Brooks could have ever made that movie and got it actually produced and put on the screen.
Well,
it's because of his pull.
You bring that up because I can recall, like, they started showing, like, when they were getting ready to do History of the World Part 2, the series on Hulu, they added a bunch of movies from Mel into the Hulu library. And I remember seeing online people just losing their fucking minds. You might have to edit that, Meg. Sorry.
That's all right.
But just losing their minds. Like, this is the most racist thing I've ever seen. I can't believe it. Like, there's so many uses of the N word. He's like,
I'll tell you what's funny to me is the people of the right-wing persuasion that don't get Blazing Saddles. They laugh at it because it's funny. But they don't get what he was doing.
Of it.
They don't understand who's being made fun of.
Yeah. I mean, so that cracks me up. I'm like, how do you not understand what that movie is about?
I thought Dave Chappelle said something really. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Brad. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just say Dave Chappelle, who that he's a whole nother story. But Dave Chappelle said something that I thought was actually kind of true. We always say, you can't do Blazing Saddles today, because of how offended people get. And he said, and you couldn't do Blazing Saddles back then either. Yeah. Only Mel can do it. And he was able to pull it off because he also worked with Richard Pryor on the movie.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
That was a thing.
I was going to bring up and say, I would love to be able to splice in clips. And there's some great clips from Blazing Saddles, but I can't because as much as I think they're hilarious and would love to repeat them, like the old lady talking to Cleavon Little, you can't do it. But Richard Pryor and especially Mel Brooks can do it. And it's funny because Richard Pryor twice was supposed to work with him. He was originally going to be gonna have the he was going to have the Cleavon Little role. And then in History of the World Part 1, he was going to have the Gregory Hines role, right? But that was, I think, a week before is when he had his little accident when he almost burned himself alive, so he couldn't do that. Yep. But I also think that Gregory Hines, another gone way too soon, Gregory Hines, works perfectly in that movie.
Oh
As
yeah.
someone who was born and raised for the first 7 years of their life in Peoria,
Hmm.
I did not understand that reference for many years because my parents tried to guard me from it. And then I recall how big of news it was there. Like, oh, look, it's Rich Pryor running down the street.
And that's a whole other episode of
That's a
watching
whole other episode. Like,
watching
we
Richard
could,
Pryor's stand up on
Oh,
Prism and HBO when I was 10 years old and renting
oh,
it
man.
from the local video store, and that blowing my young
Oh, yeah.
mind.
But, you know,
Watching
Richard
Kinnison,
Pryor
watching Kinnison
being.
and Dice Clay too.
Yeah.
Some of the Rodney
Mm.
Dangerfield specials, and he's another Godfather of comedy. But I'll digress.
Caddyshack, man.
But
Yeah.
hands down.
But you know, the thing being though is that if you don't have that friendship between Mel and Gene, and the friendship that existed between Gene and Richard, you don't have that Venn diagram that really kind of bloomed into this comedy dynasty
Yeah.
of everyone that influenced us. Were they off color? Absolutely. I mean, even other actors that weren't within that Venn diagram, like Red Fox. Red Fox's stand up, like like I repeated it once when I was like 7 because we saw it on HBO on a free weekend, and I cannot begin to tell you how many Hail Marys and acts of contrition had to take place. But you know, you have the influence of Mel and the straight man delivery and the very cerebral, dry humor that goes into this dry humor and the absurdist humor. Prior to that, you've got guys like Leslie Nielsen.
Humor. That's very
Borscht Belt humor, exactly. You've got guys like Leslie Nielsen who were serious dramatic actors and were in horror movies and in crime dramas. I don't know if you don't have Mel Brooks's films. I don't know that you have Police Squad,
No.
and you
You
don't
don't have the
have.
Zucker brothers. Yeah, you don't. You don't. Without I think
No, you
without
don't.
Mel Brooks, you wouldn't have be influenced by the Zucker brothers, because if you look at kind of foundations of comedy, okay, that a lot of Mel stuff pulls from a lot of the Borscht Belt, very very run. That's what they used to say. If you remember your history, they used to have the 7 o'clock show, which was the dinner show, which was the family show, and then they allude to it in the pop culture, but you never do it. Two showings, the 7 o'clock and the 9 o'clock. Don't come back. No, don't bring the kids to the 9 o'clock. We got a little blue. Like I remember The Simpsons, like Krusty faking his death, and he goes, "We're all sitting shiva down at the Springfield Friars Club. 7 o'clock and 10 and 11 o'clock, but it gets a little blue at 11.
Yeah, you brought up Madeline Kahn always, you see running themes through Mel Brooks movies like Madeline Kahn always talking about her tits. As I was rewatching a lot of these Mel Brooks movies over the last week and a half, I realized that holy hell did I learn a lot about not only sex, but also S&M,
Oh, yes.
fetishes.
And bad words in Yiddish.
Oh yeah.
And sex words in Yiddish. Lily von Stupp. Okay,
Yes.
Stupp in Yiddish basically means to stuff sexually.
Yes. But I
That's
mean,
the fact.
he's slipping in, and not really slipping in. I mean, maybe in Blazing Saddles, there's a little bit that's slipped in. But I mean, by the time of High Anxiety, it's not slipped
Excuse
in
me
when
while I
Oh,
whip
when
my
they're
throat.
in leather and Harvey Korman is being whipped and beaten and saying, "Ow, you were a little bit too hard last time. You're
Oh,
such
yeah.
a
You're
wimp."
Thorndike. You're being too
Well, but even then,
loud.
you can throw it into like various things that he's been involved with beyond like the films he was producing. Like he has a cameo in The Little Rascals in 1994, right?
Hmm.
Like the one line that I can remember from that movie is like, "If you were my kids, I would spank you." Well, if we were your kids, we would spank ourselves.
He was the toilet. He was the talking toilet in, I think, one of the Look Who's Talking movies. I'm here to eat the pee-pee and poo-poo.
Yep.
And I mean, but I mean, the biggest thing with Mel is you're right. People wanted to work with him because if you see the Blazing Saddles, and there's a lot of old school Western jokes in it, and to a
Hmm.
point where when he was thinking about going through the movie, he wanted to get a Frankie Lane type who sang a lot of those Western ballads, of the beginning of the Western.
Yep.
They put an ad in Variety and got Frankie Lane. And he goes, "Oh,
Yeah.
I'll sing." And he was like, "What's it about?" And he goes, "The same thing." He couldn't have the heart to tell him. He recorded this beautiful song. He didn't have the heart to tell him what the Western was about because he actually was on the Warner Studio lot and he saw John Wayne. And he goes, "Would you like to be in the movie?" And John Wayne looked and he goes, "Duh, duh." He goes, "Shucks." He goes, "I can't." He goes, "I heard about your cowboy movie about you guys saying blowing out your ass and stuff like that in a cowboy movie. Are you really doing that?" He goes, "Would you want to be in it?" He goes, "Oh hell no! I don't think I can take the reputation hit, but I'll be the first in line to see it."
Right.
And I mean, it's just like that level of humor because I always love the fact that the whole city council in Rockridge is named Johnson.
Yes.
And
But
then they
like
make
one of
Howard
us has
Johnson jokes.
recently gotten into Western films and has
Yeah.
been rewatching a lot of the Western catalogs.
Brad.
Yep.
Brad.
Yep. Yeah. Blazing Saddles was actually one of the ones that I had obviously seen well before I started watching westerns, and rewatching it again with the eyes of now being into the genre. It's just so funny. All like I thought it was hilarious before, and there were jokes that I
You
didn't
do it
really get
for
because of
Rambo
that, and
Club.
yeah, it's like so watching it now after getting into the genre, it's like a whole nother level has just been unlocked on it.
I mean, I
Tell
think
you
that's
the
the
other
end.
thing he is the absolute master of is breaking the fourth wall. He
Yeah.
Hands
uses it
down.
just enough
Yep.
that it's not constant.
Yeah.
But like especially in Blazing Saddles and
Oh,
even in Robin Hood, you see it. Like
yes.
it's just enough to break that fourth wall so the audience is drawn into what they're doing. You know.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think I think Robin Hood has one of the best wall breakings when Carrie and he's like, they're talking about what makes him so great. He's like, I speak with an
I'm
English
like other
accent.
Robin Hood. I speak with a British accent. Totally slamming Kevin Costner. The
A
one that
line
always
I
gets me in that one is the horse. And because,
yeah.
Amy Yasbeck comes down and does like the landing on the horse, and then Megan Kavanaugh comes out. She's gotta be kidding.
Well,
And,
so I, I
uh,
don't mean to cut anyone off here, but one of the interesting things about that is that the first time that Brooks had done that was in 12 Chairs.
yes.
There was a scene of jumping from a window onto a horse, and he had his set designers build a horse when these two very small people in Frank Langella, who looks like a child in this, and Ron Moody playing the primary character, they jump from literally a window that's maybe 3 feet above the horse, and the horse's knees buckle, and they're like,
Yes.
"All right, screw it, let's go."
What always gets me is you talk about like the evolution of Brooks's comedies. You got to remember the first movie he did, okay, was about basically a washed up Broadway producer
Hmm.
who basically screws all bets to get his money so he can like live to the life he's accustomed to or wants to be accustomed to. Finds a play, gets some creative accounting, and the play is written by some like Kenneth Mars, by the way, could play crazy Germans all day and be fine with it. And but it's like the Nazi sympathizers. Springtime for Hitler, a gay romp about Adolf and Beauregard. I mean,
And as
and
you're
And
watching it, I'm just amazed. I'm watching it and saying, "How is this 1968? How is this coming out in 19?" And that was one of the criticisms that people did say. Well, the war only ended 25 years ago.
It was still
should
too
not,
soon, like, to
you
joke
should
about
not be
Hitler.
making fun of this. And I think Bellacissa is going to bring it up also. I just can't believe that he was getting away with this in 68, doing this kind of stuff. But it's his first big movie, and he won the Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay. But you see the template of everything he's going to do following is in this movie. The musical numbers, the taking the piss out of Nazis, the the deviant sexual acts used for humor. Go ahead, Bellacissa. I know you want to get a point in.
I'm hysterical, and I'm wet.
I think specifically with the producers, one, it was just far enough from World War II for him to get away with it. Much like MASH was just far enough from the Korean War to get away with it. Even though it's really about we all know it's about Vietnam, but still, it was just far enough. You still had people who had fought in it, but you had a lot of people who were not born yet at that time. And then it's also the first intro to the BDSM with all the little old ladies.
Yes.
I mean, this was my first time to ever see the producers. Okay, I had never seen it before. So I'm sitting on my couch going, what are they doing? She's like 112. And it was hysterical because of that. And I think that's why he gets away with those things.
Countess on Thursday.
Well, but I also think like you have to look at it in the sweeping overview of it all. You have a World War II veteran who was singing Tootsie to Germans across the Maginot Line, making a movie making fun of the man responsible for the extermination of 6 million people within your belief set.
As Conan O'Brien said in that documentary, he said, they were talking about him making movies about Nazis. He goes, he was in the war, he fought the Nazis, he can do whatever the hell he wants about them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, why would anybody ever get mad at it? He's making fun of them. He's destroying any kind of aura that surrounds the Nazis. You know, he's specifically making Hitler look like a buffoon every time that he puts him on screen. So nobody should get offended by that. They should know where he's coming from. And that is the point, that this is a person who was there and fought in World War II. So you know what? If this is the way he's working through that, go ahead. Work it.
Well, I mean,
use
if you look
humor.
At I could say the precursor to Mel Brooks and those who thumbing their, the fine art of Jewish comedians thumbing their nose at society. And I'm going to go the logical leap back, the previous generation, and I think Mel pretty much says it in one movie, and I will give you the movie he says it in is High Anxiety. But you're telling me, yes, the scene with Madeline Kahn. What's your H. Thorndike? What's the H? Harpo. My mother was a fan of the Marx Brothers. That without the Marx Brothers, there'd be no Mel Brooks. Yeah. Because duck soup. I mean, there's a quote of Groucho Marx's. They said, duck soup was banned in Germany. He goes, good, congratulations. I'm glad to see we're doing something right. And I mean, I think without a lot of, without Mel, without the Marx Brothers, I don't think we would have the comedy we have. The comedy for us. Underdogs, the outliers, the weirdos.
Well, I think what people need to learn from Mel, and I don't think it's him that said it, but I think it's his work making fun of and taking the piss out of Nazis and Hitler, is that what is it with dictators and authoritarianism is that what do they hate the worst? Is being made fun of. So when you don't take,
that wouldn't happen.
I wasn't going to say that that we can take any tips from that now, but that's what they hate the worst. They don't like to be made fun of. Bullies don't like to be made fun of. They don't like to not be taken seriously. So what is the greatest weapon to use against them? Comedy.
Humor.
But you also look at who was really the backing studios for a lot of his early films. That was United Artists. United Artists was started by who?
Charlie Chaplin.
Chaplin.
Mhm.
You throw in the fact that vaudeville, the Borscht Belt in general, was inspired by vaudeville. Vaudeville was very much built on the back of funny Jewish people.
A lot of because that's where they went with the Catskills. I mean, some of the old vaudeville comedians at that point, I mean, if you look at the 50s, the 70s, they were in their 30s. They're probably in their 20s, their 30s doing up. Okay, 30, 40 years later, they're in their 50s.
But you're looking at like the Howards.
Yep.
Like and again, this crosses paths with things that Brad and I are into, like the Three Stooges. Vaudeville was carny, man. Vaudeville was the ability to be able to work people and think you're doing things, twisting a nose, poking the eyes, landing a drop kick, kick him in the jimmy, give him a stunner. It's essentially the same thing.
I mean, W.C. Fields was juggled. He did comedy, but he also juggled. And you're right. I mean, this all goes back to, and this was a point I made a few weeks earlier. I was teaching a comedy workshop, and like how to tell jokes to the scouts, and I showed them a clip of Night at the Opera. Stateroom scene, if you've seen it. If not, go see it. It's a funny movie. And they were telling me how elements of comedy are surprise, laughter, and expect the unexpected. Now, mind you, this movie was made back in the 30s. Okay? I showed them this movie. These kids were like, I said, we have surprise, we have humor, we have expect the unexpected. And the kids look at me like, holy cow, he's right. And I mean, that's the big thing, I think, with Mel and comedy is expect the unexpected. Because, okay, the part that kills me, and again, we can't really play the clip, because, but we can because it's kind of gibberishy, is, the whole thing of telephone. Okay? Gabby, you see the sheriff? What? The sheriff's coming! Oh, he's coming! The sheriff's up! And the church bell with just the timing. I love the church bell. Ding! He says, what? The sheriff's near. No, God blast it. That's not what I said. I said the sheriff's bong. And I mean, there's that whole sequence. They go from cheering, and it's like, whoa, wait a minute. And it's like they pull the banner up. And they pull the banner up, and he pulls the banner down. He smiles, and excuse me while I whip this out. And they're like, "Oh, no, he's just taking out his speech." But how comedy influences real life is that?
Well, it's funny. Like
Mel took himself hostage. This is actually based off true life, where a couple true life instances happened in Blazing Saddles. Mel said that he took himself hostage, just like Cleavon Little did in a drugstore when he was suspected of stealing like a water pistol and some candy. And he took himself hostage with the water pistol and got himself outside. And he used that bit. He thought it was funny, and he used that bit again because there was also a bit in true life with one of the most funniest jokes in that movie. Is Alex Karras cold cocking the horse. And it was actually based on an incident with Sid Caesar. I guess Sid Caesar had a temper to end all tempers. And I guess this horse reared his wife. He went up to the horse and cold cocked it. He cold cocked the horse for throwing his wife.
We will not get into my experiences cold cocking horses. That's something for offline.
You have a lot of free time in Indiana.
It was not in Indiana. It's the reason why I'm not allowed in the Czech Republic. But that's neither here nor there. At the end of the day, though, I mean, if you really look at it, and I think Bella was going there earlier. So when I saw, and it's Mike's favorite band.
Oh God.
when I saw Kiss in 1999,
I'll be back.
With them,
we're just going to edit this out now, right? We're just going to go like, edit out the Kiss.
So it was Ted Nugent opening. It was Smashing Pumpkins opening for Ted Nugent, opening for Kiss.
Okay, good line.
Ted Nugent his walk on was, as mayor of this fine city and representing every member of this town, it is my honor and pleasure to present to you this town's new. You can guess where that goes.
Yes.
Like, you're talking about right wing people that don't understand
the joke
that
Yeah.
they're being made fun of.
Yep.
Well,
Now,
you also have to
the
look
New
at,
West.
especially for the producers, the earlier stuff. This was the late 60s. This is when people were pushing back. Like, this was not Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz anymore. This was burning the bras and hitchhiking across the country to go to Woodstock. Like, it was a very forward time, a time where a lot of people pushed back on the norms. And I think he happened to start these movies at just the right time to be able to do what he did. If he had tried it 10 years earlier, the producers would never have been made.
No.
If he had tried Blazing Saddles 10 years earlier, it would never have been made. But the time that he was working in worked for him.
Yes.
I mean, he talks a lot about Kismet in not only his stand-up, but in his documentary.
Mm-hmm.
You know, especially when it falls down to, like, Anne Bancroft. You know, he stands up, and the first time he goes to see her, he goes, "Anne Bancroft, I'm Mel Brooks." And he says, she goes, "Who the hell are you?" But like he like, it was borderline stalking.
Mm-hmm.
But he was just so enamored, and he kept calling. He would say, "But it's Kismet, it's Kismet," and she'd be like, "No, it's not Kismet. You're following me.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. If I go on a date with you, will you leave me alone?" Well, we see
But
how that happened.
You know, and to Bellacissa's point, it's almost like Mel he's a Trojan horse. Like, you don't expect it from this little Jewish guy becomes this counterculture icon in the 70s, because you're right. All that stuff, as much as it's lasted and they're classics, and we're doing a podcast now because we love these movies, it was the right time to do them. And you don't look at him and say, "Oh, this is the guy who's going to have all of these groundbreaking comedies."
Yeah.
I mean, you think it now because you look and see his experience, and you know his brilliance, and you know what, the writer's room that he came through and all that kind of stuff. But that's not what you expect. So he's able to, that's why he can sneak that in there, because it's much like Anne Bancroft. You don't expect it. He's the one who's married to Anne Bancroft. What? Yeah, he is. He's the one who's making these comedies that are breaking all of these social norms. Yeah, it's him. It's not Robert Altman. It's not Jack Nicholson who's doing this stuff. In the 70s was a time where the new Hollywood took over. So you were able to do all this kind of stuff, and the movies were just like consciousness was being expanded in the late 60s into the 70s. Movies were breaking new boundaries.
Yep.
But
Well,
it's
I
Mel
would make
Brooks,
as
this
much
little
an
this
argument-
little
mean-
Jewish guy who is bringing
This
all
nebbish.
of this. Yeah, this little nebbish who's bringing all of this into the norm.
And I would
Yeah.
make as much an argument that he was as much an auteur as Stanley Kubrick, as Coppola,
Oh yeah.
because he took the money that he made doing these slapstick, these irreverent comedies that really did speak on a lot of social issues.
Yep.
Again, you look at Springtime for Hitler. I'm sorry, the producers.
Yep.
Because you couldn't name it Springtime for Hitler
Uh-huh.
at that time. But you look at that. You look at Blazing Saddles. You look at, and I'm going to come back to it because we just rewatched it this evening, the 12 Chairs. The 12 Chairs is a whole lot of subversive, subtle comedy making fun of the Soviet Union at a time where, like, I'm sure we can all remember having to do duck and cover drills. duck and cover drills were not there for us to be safe from a nuclear bomb. It was so we could all be found in case of a nuclear bomb.
Yeah. And the one of the things that why was he the one that was able to get away with all of this? I'm gonna quote the man himself. It's good to be the king.
Yeah.
It's good to be the king.
His movies were hits.
I mean,
Yeah.
he made fun
And
of
you know,
the
he
other
could do it
Malcolm.
also. He could be subtle, and he knew when to be subtle, and he knew when to be broad. Look at Silent Movie. I mean, what's the name of the movie theater? And he's basically looking into the future to see how all of these corporations are gonna devour. Because what is it? Acquire and devour. I'm trying to think of what the name of the movie.
Yeah.
The company is. But that's basically what happened to all of these movie theaters. And yeah, that's broad and it's on the nose, but it's still funny and he's still right. So he's able to slip in all of this subversive stuff that now, when you're 10 years old watching this, you don't get. But then you watch this week and you say, oh,
Yeah.
shit, I didn't realize he was talking about this. But then you also see the stuff that, he could use stuff. I joked about it with knockers. It's still a great joke.
Yeah.
But as a 10-year-old, you're like, ha ha, I know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
roll in the hay. Let's have a
Roll in the
roll.
hay.
All you think, when you're a kid, you're just thinking they're rolling around
Or
and
even
it's
though,
fun.
who would think of, and you could look at it and say, oh yeah, I mean, it's it's such a stupid type of joke, but werewolf.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wolf.
Wolf.
Their
Their castle.
Why are you
That's
talking
why we
like
talk
that?
like that. That's
I
why I
wanted
did.
to.
You even
but I
look
mean,
at
like,
you
take
look
it-
at Prince of Thieves. I mean, Robin Hood. He talks about Prince of Thieves. There's actually a
Yeah.
line in there about it. You've got Dave Chappelle of all
Yeah.
people
Yes.
as one of the main characters. You've got guys dancing in tights,
Yes.
literally
Manly men were men in tights.
manly men.
Tights.
And you've got the entire movie is making fun of fairy tales.
Yeah.
The whole
and
thing.
Again, you go back to 12 Chairs, and he's in the movie only for maybe about 15 minutes. But there's this whole thing, there's this whole line where he's like, I don't know, there was some time about 10 years ago, there was just such a calamitous noise, and everything just seemed to go to shit. You mean the revolution? Yes, that's what I mean. The revolution.
Or even
You've
Robin
got-
Hood.
You've
Robin
got
Hood.
jokes like the Bureau of Home Goods and Furniture Management, and there's the Bureau of Bedroom and Bathroom Fixtures, the Bureau of Lighting and Lamps, the Bureau of Bureaus and Cabinets.
I mean, or
But
even,
it's very much taking the piss out of things, but it's especially since you're talking about a movie that came out in 1970.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's very much weaponized comedy.
Mhm.
If you make a joke, if you make the bully a joke, if you make the threat something to laugh at, is it really that much of a threat?
Like it's going to chafe my willy.
yeah.
My Willie.
Well, two jokes always crack me up. One is the blind guy reading the Playboy, and I actually found out that Braille Playboys do exist.
Yep.
They do.
I
Yeah.
actually looked it up. I asked a librarian friend of mine. I was like, "Do Braille? Oh yeah, we have a couple in the library." I'm like, "Okay,
They have the
then."
It's always
first
good when-
issue
it's always
in
good when
Braille
Bill
at the
does
Museum of
research for the
Tracks in
podcast.
New York.
Right. The other one was, his whole cameo was Rabbi Tuckman. And he goes, moral extraordinaire. What's the? Oh, it's the new craze. What do
I'll
you
take
do?
two. I'll take two.
What we do is we hit the tip and we put it in there. Who wants one? Ah, never mind. No.
Or even
Yeah,
in
and then
Robin
Blinken is like, oh, he's even more interested.
when
But I mean,
it's the
even-
same
even-
thing. Mel's only in Robin Hood a few times. It's a very
Yeah.
short thing, and he's sitting on the horse, and he says, "I don't know the Yiddish word." Okay, I'm
Fabulous.
an atheist. And he goes, like
Yeah.
guys,
No, Mary.
Yeah.
Mary.
Yeah.
That's like everybody. Well, that's the thing in Mel Brooks was everybody knows Yiddish. like Blazing Saddles. You know, they go, the white folks wouldn't let us turn their wagon circle, so we had to join our own. And they're spinning around. And, no, Capo walk. It's all right. You go now. What?
It's all right.
They backer than us. But I mean,
I just want to say I'm glad that I'm gonna put the mark at 105. We're an hour and 5 minutes in, and it took us an hour and 5 minutes just to start devolving into doing lines from all the movies.
Well, I think the biggest thing is
there's so many though. There's so many
lines. But I mean, the big thing is Brooks also took swipes at the counterculture. In the producers. Dick Shawn as LSD, man.
Yeah.
Hitler was not a baby. Baby. What is this baby?
Can I tell you about the producers real fast though? As I'm watching it, I'm saying, who is the director? I've seen that guy before. So of
Mr.
course
Belvedere.
I go on the IMDb. I'm like, holy shit, it's Mr. Belvedere.
Mr. Belvedere was the cross-dress. Well, the fun thing is that the guy who played his assistant also appeared in another Mel Brooks movie. He was Don't Get Saucy with Me, bunnies.
Yes.
What cracked me up, and I only caught it because I was watching, I had the subtitles on. In the producers, that character's name is Carmen Gia.
Yes, it is. Yes.
I cracked up. I was like, Carmen Gia. Oh my God.
Brooks was the master of making a humorous situation. Like I was pointing this out the other night. I was watching Blazing Saddles. One of my favorite little subtle jokes, and all of Blazing Saddles, is where they're crashing through the commissary, and you see the scene, and you see like these two guys grabbing lunch. And all of them go, Ivan, when is the last day on the picture? Oh, they lose me after the bunker scene.
They lose me after the bunker scene.
And the guy is dressed as Hitler. So you've got a Jewish guy playing Hitler.
Yep.
Yeah. One of my favorites is in Spaceballs when they're doing the nose job and they're getting the codes 1 1 1 2 2 2 3 3 3 and they're doing it, it's like, and then he comes in as President Scrooge, which is Brooks backwards.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, we got the code. What is it? It's like 1 2 3 4. What? 1 2. That's amazing. That's my luggage. That's the code on my luggage. And right before that, there was and right before that, they're saying, oh, that's a code that only an idiot would have.
But even that, my daughter was watching Spaceballs, and it's the scene where, and it's a brilliant, as Bellacissa said, he'd like to break the fourth wall, but then he totally subverts that by saying, well, we can watch the videotape.
Yeah.
This is now. Well, when was then? That was before. Well, what are we going to
We just missed it.
We just missed it. But and she's watching it, and she's like, wait, I don't, and she's 11, and she's never seen this type of comedy, and you can see her brain working like, wait a minute, what is going on here? But that's a brilliant subversion of, we know that Mel Brooks breaks the fourth wall, so he says, well, I'm going to break the fourth wall, but watch how I do it in this movie.
Yeah. At first he gets the videotape, like, how do we have the video?
He always has to have he always has to be marketing, because he has all of his videotapes. It's the same thing when, it's in High Anxiety and it's in Silent Movie when they have the premiere and you see the Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein. It's always his movies that he's advertising for. But that's great when he goes to get the video.
Yeah,
she might have just been blown away by what is videotape, but
And then back in Spaceballs when they're about to go into hyperspeed, and he's like, we can't do that. And he was like, what are you, Colonel Sanders, chicken? It's one of the funniest, especially knowing it's KFC, it's like it's the just drop dead hilarious.
Listen,
like it shouldn't be funny, but it is.
Brooks can be subversive. Brooks can be subversive, and he can be taking the piss, and he can do it. He could be doing social commentary, but then he is also the guy who is saying, "What's his name? Asshole. What's your name? Asshole. I'm surrounded by
assholes.
Philip Asshole. I'm surrounded by assholes." That, and of course,
assholes.
In 7th and 8th grade, all we ever did was say, "Comb the desert. Did you find anything? We ain't found shit."
I actually went.
And then the two black guys with the Afro pick. Yeah, it's. And the guy who played Tuvok on
Spaceballs. Spaceballs is actually the first and last time I ever had my mouth washed out with soap was because of Spaceballs. And in grade school, I think it was every month, we used to get like a school newspaper or whatever. And my brother had his, and on his, like on the cover, I don't even remember what was on the cover, but I drew like somebody the where somebody was talking, and I put in there, hey, you fat bearded bitch. And my brother brought it into I gave it to him, and then he's older than me, but he was like, a very straight laced guy, and he put it right into my parents, and he showed it to them, and next thing I know, it was like that scene in Christmas Story. I'm sitting in the bathroom with the bar of soap in my mouth.
I mean, it's. I mean, I just think some of the, even some of like the self-aware parodies, like having John Hurt reenact the scene from Aliens,
Yeah.
and going, "Oh no,
Not again.
and have
And
I
I
hate it
Alien-
when he
I
does
think
that.
when I saw Spaceballs, I had not seen Alien by that time,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
I didn't get it at first.
Yeah.
I thought, I mean, I got that it was like doing the Hello My, I knew that from Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
But
I mean, yeah,
then
one
when I
froggy
finally saw
evening.
Alien, I was like, oh, now I understand. Now I get the end of Spaceballs.
But you also realize
I
the
love when he
other crew is
references his
basically
other
dressed
movies,
as
like in Robin Hood. And why not? It worked in Blazing Saddles.
Yeah.
Blazing Saddles. Or even
Black
at the
Sheriff.
end there. It's good to, or even it's good like you see Patrick Stewart, giving her like a real French kiss,
Yeah.
and it's like
Yeah.
it's good to be the king.
It's good to be the king.
It's good to be the
And
king.
I mean, or even
Well,
Dick
like,
Van Patten
listen, I said,
these weird roles. Like for example, Doctor, like he played one of the other doctors who got his hearing blown out in high anxiety. But the one that always gets me
Yeah.
is where he plays the vicar in Robin Hood Men Times. Morrow, Evan. Good morrow. Good morrow. Hey, you're bad. Hey, you're bad.
I hate that guy.
And, or King Roland in Spaceballs. But I noticed he always kind of had these kind of like, charmingly befuddled guys, and if at all possible, could you save the car? I got a deal on it, And I mean,
I bought it from my cousin.
I think that's why I think we have the humor we have is because I remember when I was in college, that's how I got talking to guys in a poker thing. They were all from New York City. They were Jewish. I was the token Gentile. That's how we got funding. That's how they funded us. They somehow got funding from the Jewish Student Council. They claimed our poker games were outreach to the Gentiles, and I was the token Gentile. But that's enough of that story. But that's how we got talking is Mel Brooks movies, and they were looking at me like, Mel Brooks. I'm like, how does a Catholic boy know Mel Brooks? It's like I do, and we were all talking about like how Mel was an impact, and it's like, yeah, I mean, it's this is how they learned all the bad words and and they would use it Jewish school, and all the rabbis would catch them going you're going to go to hell if you watch Mel Brooks movies, and we're like, yeah, okay, fine, well, Mel Brooks is there, we're going to be okay, and but I think that's the impact is, that because of guys like Carl Reiner, because of Mel Brooks, because of even his son Rob Reiner, it's we have some appreciation that I think we're lucky or not lucky, definitely lucky to have experienced different cultures. I mean that we can we can laugh about this stuff. That a lot of Jewish humor is gallows humor, and for those for those recovering Catholics on the podcast, and there are a couple of us, it's kind of like you laugh at this, you laugh at this stuff on the pod, you laugh at this stuff, kind of kind of a thing, like going like, hey, this is funny stuff, and it's like, oh no, that's just, that's Jewish humor. You shouldn't be laughing at that. And I'm like, I'm seeing the
Well,
last
I mean,
episode
Oh
and I'm
no,
laughing my ass
she's
off.
a
equal
Jewish
opportunity.
princess.
Yeah, that always. And
Yes.
the other one, the other one is the other
Reformed.
one that I didn't get when I first watched it. My dad had rented it, and from local video store, and it was actually the Spaceballs was the first Mel Brooks movie I had seen. I'm born in 1981 and everything, and but when I was younger and I didn't get the joke was Prince Valium.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's always tired.
Jim J. Bullock.
Yeah.
Jim J. Bullock.
But it's still like, I think it like, I don't know that you can necessarily call Mel Brooks someone who singles out anyone, because he's an equal opportunity
Yeah.
humorist.
Offender.
Yeah.
I mean,
makes fun of
there's
everybody.
literally a whole song and dance number in history of the world. The Inquisition.
What a show.
What a show. And that is, it's brilliant in its lowbrow humor. It's
Yeah.
so, it is brilliant. And you have Jackie Mason in there.
Yes.
Doing jokes. And that it's just
And
such
Ronnie
an example
Brown.
of taking something that is horrible and you're commenting on how horrible it is, but you're doing it through this absurdity. And that's why, and that's to bring up what everybody is saying, that especially Jewish comedians, Jewish writers, Jewish comic writers could do that because they had this shared history
Yes.
of all of the shit that their people had to put up with. So how do they deal with it? They dealt with it with humor. And that's what he brought into the mainstream. And that's like, that's a perfect example of that. You're just watching it, and I hadn't watched History of the World in a long time, and I knew it was coming up, and I'm just watching it saying this is amazing, and it's funny, but you're listening to it, you're like, holy shit. I mean, he's telling you what happened, and you're like, oh shit, this was like really bad, but I mean, this is hilarious. There's Jackie Mason making jokes about it. There's people in in an Iron Maiden that are going back and
what you
forth.
wanted to do, but you do anyway.
Well, and my very favorite movie of all time is Dogma. Dogma never happens.
No.
If something like History of the World doesn't happen.
Correct.
Because it crossed into Christianity, which is, as we've seen recently, must bow down, right?
You might not want to make jokes about that.
I mean, you've got George Carlin as a Catholic cardinal. You've got Alanis Morissette as God.
Yeah.
Like, these things don't happen unless people like Mel Brooks started with what they knew.
Well, and it's funny you bring that up, because in a lot of ways, I think that Kevin Smith does exactly what Mel Brooks did.
Yeah.
Because everything that he has built builds on itself.
Yep.
Even you bringing up Alanis Morissette. Alanis Morissette was kind of a running gag that they had going back to the commercials that Kevin Smith did on MTV in the 90s.
Yeah.
Like that, there's a whole like weird 2-minute TikTok in between shows where it's Kevin Smith just standing there smoking in the background, and it's Jason Mewes going, "I ever tell you about the time I dated Alanis Morissette? Yeah, man. Like, she wrote that whole song, You All Know, all about me. Like, it was just, we're the straw-crossed lovers, bro."
I went and saw, just recently, Kevin Smith did a tour with Dogma, because he finally got the rights back to it after 25 years. I went to the show in Dallas where he hosted it, and there was like an hour-and-a-half Q&A session at the end with just a theater full of people and Kevin Smith and all of us throwing questions at him. It was fascinating to me to see how he got to Dogma. He was Catholic.
Yeah.
He wasn't just making fun of Catholicism. He lived it.
He understood the dogma.
Yeah.
And I think that's, that he throws in his own jokes. Case in point, Robin Hood, Men in Tights. Friar Tuck. Oh,
Is
Rabbi
Rabbi
Tuckman.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's never punching down And that's
Yeah.
what makes the comedy hit more, is that, I mean,
But
we
he
said
does-
it. He was an equal opportunity offender, but he's doing it also from a place of experience. And it's the same thing
Yeah.
that you're talking about with Kevin Smith too. It takes somebody who grew up Catholic and has probably questioned his faith to make comedy and to make fun of the Catholic Church. You can't just come at it from saying, I'm going to make fun of the Catholic Church. I mean, you can look at headlines and say, I'm going to make fun of the Catholic Church. But if you're somebody who's like, okay, I'm questioning my faith and I grew up Catholic and now I don't know what's going on, but I want to delve into this. What better way than by comedy? And it's the same thing with Mel Brooks. If
Well, I'll give you a
he's
few
gonna work through being in World War II and work through something like, fighting a war because somebody's trying to eliminate your people,
You and maybe your
and you're
entire
gonna
family.
you're gonna come at it through comedy.
Well, you were saying he doesn't punch down, but he does punch across.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly across and even with where he is.
Mhm.
So
Well, I'll give you another one, Mike. Everyone who's another comedian who was in religion and used his training to be a very funny guy.
Sam Kinison.
Sam
Dan
Kinison.
Yep. And he was he came from a family of fire and brimstone, Pentecostal preachers. And I mean, he even had a sense of humor about it, that his caddy's his license plate for his car was X-Rev. I mean, but that's the thing. You take life experience. I remember a quote of Robin Williams said, "It's cheaper than therapy." Why do you do this? It's cheaper than therapy.
And even Bernie Mac said, comedy comes from a place of pain.
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
You can either cry about it, or you can figure out a way to fucking laugh about it.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
why
And
George
that's
Carlin was so powerful. He
Yes.
grew up Catholic, but in the end, and I saw him about 3 months before he died. I saw him
Wow.
live, and he went full blown atheist by the end of it. But he made so much sense when he talked about it, and the reason it was funny is because people could relate to it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
and I mean,
comedy helps with healing a lot. I mean, when they were doing the producers on Broadway, the director and her husband were gonna work on it together, and she had said that, like, as they're working on it, doing the pre-production and everything, he had gotten leukemia, and in 18 months he had passed away, and she wasn't sure if she wasn't going to do the show. And Mel showed up to her door, and he said, "You can cry in the morning, you can cry in the evening, but for 8 hours during the day, you're going to work on the show. You're going to laugh your ass off, and you're going to feel so much better before you know it." And she said that's exactly what she did. She got up in the morning, she cried, she went to work, had the time of her life, came home, cried again, and just repeated it every single day after that. And she said she was able to heal a lot faster than she would have, because he didn't force her out, but he was able to talk her out and to get out of her home and out of her misery, basically, and enjoying life and just laughing at, you have Nathan Lane out there. How are you not gonna just crack up all the time? And
well, it's funny. I'm a widow, and when my husband passed away, it was very sudden. It was very unexpected. I was in a different country, so I'm barely holding it together, right? Like barely functioning. And then we got his ashes from Thailand. We were in the Philippines, and his son there, we wanted to give him some of the ashes. Well, we lost our minds laughing, trying to figure out, do we dish it out with a spoon? Do we get a measuring cup? And it was the best release we could have had.
Oh, I can't tell you how many times right after my mom passed away, or my grandfather, and that's how you get through it, is telling funny stories. And all of us, and we said there are probably people looking at us right now saying, how can they be laughing right now when this person just passed away? But it's like, you don't understand. This person would be laughing also, because we'd be doing the same thing if it was somebody else. We're not making fun of this person passing
Right.
away.
Yeah.
We're working through our pain
Yeah.
by telling funny stories and all of us
Yeah.
having funny memories of this person.
And my
that's
late
where-
husband
I
would
will
have
give one
laughed
my-
his ass off
Yeah.
Yeah,
at us
in the
trying to
Jewish-
dig out a spoon to put his ashes somewhere
Yeah.
else. Like, you know,
in
Mike,
in
I
the
will
Jewish
give you a great
religion, when somebody passes away, we it's like a community thing where we sit. It's called sitting shiva,
Yeah.
where
Shiva,
the
yeah.
person who the family of the person who passes away, they're in their house and everyone comes over, brings them food, and you sit around and you just talk. You tell stories, and you're trying to just you want to be surrounded by people, and
Yep.
it's more of a celebration of this person's life instead
Yeah.
of their death.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
let me give you a good example.
and
Um,
and
let me give you a good
Like-
example about having humor and of death. We found out my father had passed away right at the hospital. We arrived maybe about 20 minutes before they let compressions go, and he passed away. And they let us in. They took all the tubes out and they let us see him. And I walk into the room, and I go, "Well, at least you found a way you didn't have to go to dialysis anymore." 'Cause he
well,
hated-
I think that those moments are really kind of encapsulated in these films, and
Yeah.
Bella will know exactly what I'm talking about here. Every time you deploy, you write a new will and testament.
Yep.
Mhm.
And my most recent last will and testament, there are two main provisions. One of the things you have to do as someone who is deploying to a forward location, to a war zone, is you have to put instructions in the event of capture.
Yep.
My instructions for the event of capture is you have to find the original print of Fritz Lang's Metropolis, and you can trade a 1987 Bo Jackson rookie card. Those are the only things that are acceptable to trade for my release. On the other side of that, I have, because I grew up, Irish Catholic, but I also grew up I grew up going to a place now called the Pulaski District in Chicago, formerly known as Jewtown. And it's, yes, it was very non-PC,
Sure.
and I get that.
Yeah.
But where else are you going to get a Polish? I'm just going to put that out there, right?
There's a section
But
of Philadelphia called Germantown that's still. I mean, that's what it's called.
Well,
so I
next
know
time I'm in
it's
Philly, I'll make sure I stop. But I have a Chivas, a Irish wake. $10,000 of my life insurance is to go towards that. Everyone has to go. Everyone has to have a drink. Everyone has to say at least something. You can say, "I fucking hated that bastard." But at the end of the day, my death is supposed to bring people together.
Yeah.
I agree.
Even if it's only like the three who don't want to punch me in the face right now.
Anthony, I agree, because when we buried my father, my mother, it was very old school, very old school, very old school Italian. Like, oh, we can't do this, we can't do that. I was asking the funeral director if we get a bottle of Maker's Mark and set up in the other room. He goes, "No, state law says you can't do that anymore." I'm like, "All right, whatever, fine." And we put a book out. My father was known for telling stories, telling his exploits, telling a story. So we put a little sign out that says, "Tell us your favorite story about Bill." I'm actually the third, believe it or not. My dad was junior, so he actually goes, and we actually had stories. People wrote stories about him, and I had to give the eulogy, and I opened the eulogy up with the following statement. I said, "Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. We may be making history at this funeral. It may be the first funeral ever where after the eulogy, the guest of honor may give a rebuttal." I'm in a church doing this, and I saw people laughing. My mother is in the front row, agape, like, and "What did you do that for?" I said, "We get in the limo." "What did you do that for?" I said, "What?" She goes, "That is the tackiest joke ever. You don't begin a eulogy like that." I said, "Did you look around the church?" She goes, no. I said, I did. I said, there were some people who were agape, but there were people there, family, friends, his own brother, his best friend, my godfather. The whole people that knew my father the best were sitting there laughing their ass off.
Yeah.
And they thought it was the greatest. And like I said, I walked into the room. He was there. He just, well, we found a way to get rid of dialysis. Like I have to go to dialysis anymore. And my mother just looks at me and she goes, your father is dead. What is wrong with you? And we had a friend of ours there because in case my mother had some issues, we had a friend there. And I just looked at my friend. He'd laugh, right? He goes, he'd call you an asshole. Then you'd laugh. And I mean, that's the kind of thing you have to have. And I mean, Anthony, I know you were, in charge of war zones. Bella, I know your husband was kind of in an area. And I mean, I've worked with some people over the years who have done special ops work, and they said, yes, on mission, you got to be business. But we do some of the most stressful shit on planet Earth that you don't even know about.
Yep.
And when the bell is off, that's when you have to decompress. Because if you don't decompress from whatever mission you've been on, you're going to go absolutely batshit. And you need to get rid of that energy.
It's as we always say, and Bella already said, it all comes back to MASH. If we don't go a little crazy sometimes, we're going to go crazy.
Yep. Pull your pants down and slide on the ice.
And I think it does come back to Mel Brooks in that what we're talking about with finding humor in sad situations, in tragedy, it comes back to what this podcast is about also, in that growing up with this type of stuff, you form bonds with your brother where, we would just do lines from Young Frankenstein, and we'll always do that. And a memory that I brought up in the beginning of going to a drive-in to see Young Frankenstein with my parents. And then all those years later, my parents still saying, oh, I remember you would always watch Young Frankenstein while we were growing up, and you would always watch Blazing Saddles. So it does, just like humor can get us through those hard times, it's also memories like this and that we got to experience with these type of movies that watching a disposable comedy where you'll be like, yeah, that was funny, and then 5 minutes later you'll forget about it. Mel Brooks's comedies, there is just something there that I think, I don't want to speak for you guys, but I think we will always hold those movies a little bit closer because it was stuff that we grew up with, and it's stuff that you want to pass down to friends and family and experience with other people, and it's stuff that you do make memories with other people and share with. I mean, we wouldn't be doing this podcast. We wouldn't be doing this podcast if we did, if that wasn't the case.
You can tell Mel has
It's stuff that not only taught us the concept of timing, dry humor, absurdist humor, intelligent humor, subtle humor. They're things that taught us coping mechanisms for the shit that we've been through in our lives.
Well, we're Gen X. We raised ourselves, basically.
Exactly.
So this is what we were raised on, literally. This is what we all watched.
The thing is, the love
even if your means of coping.
What was that? I didn't hear you. What'd you say, Bill?
I said the love and craft he has in the movies. I mean, everything from getting the original lab equipment in Young Frankenstein to having Madeline Kahn, do the Veronica Lake hairdo and High Anxiety to, having Mel being the hero. And he's got like the North by Northwest, 3-button suits on that a lot of, Hitchcock's leading men wore, to,
a
some
toll
of the,
booth in the middle of the desert.
He had for the subject. And that even
the thing I loved about I hadn't seen High Anxiety in a very, very long time, but Hitchcock is my favorite director ever. I think he's the greatest director ever. He can do comedy, he can do drama, obviously horror, just everything. And the thing that was great about High Anxiety is the jokes, the Hitchcock jokes, they are, for the most part, they're subtle. They're not something that where it's like, oh yeah, this is a Hitchcock reference, or this, like when he's on the phone in the park and you see the birds fly up in the background, you know it's the birds. And when he's talking, he's like, at the bench by the North by Northwest, section. It's like, it's right. Like you need to know the movies, obviously. When he's taking a shower, you know what's coming, but like it's not something that's not
getting a tip.
Yeah, but it's really not out of place within the movie. Each of the references of Hitchcock, there's a reason for them to be there, and it's just so perfectly done.
It starts out right at the beginning with the gets off the plane, because there's a whole thing in one of the Hitchcock movies where the lady screams and goes to kill somebody, and you think she's gonna kill somebody, and she's coming over
and he's like, no,
and he runs over, greeting your loved ones at the gate. But also, too, the police officer, the one that always gets me as the police officer is, would you come here, please? Sir, follow me. Where are we going? We're going into the right over here, sir. We're going into the toilet?
Yeah, the toilet.
Well, I mean, and even in the grand scope of, if you look at everything that he's done, like you throw back into, I'm going to go super deep cut. Ready? You go back into his spoof on the spy thriller.
Get Smart.
As an original writer of Get Smart.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, without Get Smart, you don't have Inspector Gadget.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Like Don Adams, the Missed It by
Yep, I actually, when I was watching the documentary and they were talking about Get Smart, and I've seen an episode here or there, first thing I did, I went on to iTunes. I saw that you can get all 5 seasons. It was like $50. I was like, nope,
that was my mother's favorite show.
I'm getting it.
Watching that. Yeah, I love
it.
One thing I know, okay, you got to be a MASH fan to get this. In High Anxiety, when he walks up to the hotel desk, and the concierge goes, "Oh, Dennis." All I could think was Radar doing his stand-up skit for Colonel Potter,
Yeah.
It sounded just like him.
Even the whole thing with that was, well, we had you on floor 3, sir, but a Mr. MacGuffin called.
Yes.
And the funny thing is, the bellboy who was frustrated was Barry Levinson.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I mean, I love the fact that like all these like comedians, come in and do like these little like walk-off roles. I mean, Silent Movie was full of it. I mean, you had Burt. The thing I always thought was brilliant in Silent Movie was the only one line of spoken dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Was
Marcel.
No.
What did he say? I don't know. I never understood French.
And listen, Silent Movie also with the escalating of the newspaper vendor, and you see the headlines where it says newspaper vendor injured in accident, as they keep on throwing the large piles of newspapers on them, and they finally destroy the whole stand. And that's just an example of, it's a side absurdist type of humor. It has nothing to do with the main plot, but it's just this little side joke that just keeps escalating and escalating and escalating as the movie goes on.
Or Madeline Kahn in the car in High Anxiety. She gets out of the car. Her car. Okay, the outfit matches the car.
The car is. Mel looks at her.
He does a double take.
The teddy bear is wearing the same outfit. The teddy bear on her bed is wearing the same outfit. And I mean, it's just kind of really funny that some of these other like lighter characters, like Ron Carey was a great stand-up comedian in the 60s.
He was a 70s that guy. He would show up in sitcoms.
Definitely a 70s that guy. I mean, he kind of did the whole revival preacher. Well,
evil.
Money
I said this was the first.
Evil. And evil spelled backwards is live. That's right. My lecture shall be tonight in the church hall. Tomorrow night we'll have bingo. I mean, stuff like that. I mean, you had like some of the madcap guys, like Charlie Callis. He was the Cocker Spaniel. He was the Sooth. Sooth, I give great Sooth. And I mean, it was just like some of these guys like would just randomly appear, and they were totally your that guy actors. Like Pat McCormick is in a couple of the movies.
Yeah.
Get the shit right out of your house. And I always loved the fact that the Major Empress Nympho's Major Dwarmo was was the one who always did. It's not nice to fool Mother Nature. The
Yeah.
margarine commercials. Elaine Dietrich of. Not nice to fool Mother Nature. Of a promise. I think it was like one of the margarine commercials at the time. And I mean, I just love, the whole. I mean, just we can't talk about Mel Brooks without one of the brilliance of one of his leading ladies, Madeline Kahn. I mean, Madeline Kahn, I think, without her and some of the key roles in High Anxiety, in Blazing Saddles, in History of the World Part One,
and Young Frankenstein.
and Young Frankenstein. Taffeta, darling, no, it's the dress. And I mean,
Woof.
you know,
Well, that's what I was going to say. This was my first time to see High Anxiety. And in my brain, Madeline Kahn is either German or she's Empress Nympho. Like, she has an accent, right?
Yeah.
So when I saw High Anxiety and she was speaking with an American accent, I was almost like disconcerted by it. I was like, wait, no, that's not Madeline
it
Kahn.
breaks the suspension of disbelief, right?
Yeah.
And it's and she's such a well-rounded actress.
She is.
She is.
But I think in a lot of ways, and while we're making Hitchcockian comparisons, right? I think in a lot of ways, Madeline Kahn was a muse for Mel Brooks in the same way that Tippi Hedren was for Hitchcock.
Yeah. And I mean, she could kind of just had that energy. And I mean, it was just like what role, she was just. I mean, she could just.
She was up for everything. She was up for everything.
She was like, I mean, because I guess they were casting her for Blazing Saddles, Mel's like, let me look at your leg. She's like, what are you talking about, Mel? Like, go get lost. It's like, no, we got to make sure you have like the Marlene Dietrich, gams, and it's like, okay, yeah, that's fine. And I mean, I just think her energy is just in all these movies. I mean, it's just kind of like. It's hard not to fall in love. I mean,
she steals the scene. She steals the scene every time.
Yeah, and she was great in speaking of movies and that are heavily influenced by Mel Brooks. You look at her in Clue. I mean that is a Mel Brooks. Yeah, that's a Mel Brooks movie, not directed by Mel Brooks.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, you throw that whole influence in, like I was saying, like Leslie Nielsen, you would not have Police Squad and then The Naked Gun. And then it took another 15 years before Nielsen would be in a Brooks film.
Yeah,
but
unfortunately.
Where my kids really kind of have that blend over is I know at very least my son and second youngest daughter were very big into the show Raising Hope.
Okay.
Raising Hope.
Yep.
Very dry humor, the lovable idiot, much like many of the characters in Mel Brooks's films, as the dad, but Cloris Leachman.
Cloris
Leachman. And like that was the main reason why we watched the roast of Bob Saget was because they were like, well, the grandma from Raising Hope's going to be on there. And Cloris Leachman comes on and goes, the only thing she says in the entire thing is, just for the record, I'm not here to roast Bob Saget. I'm here to fuck John Stamos. Thank you.
They were a 1-2 punch. Cloris Leachman and Madeline Kahn. Like he found
Yes, they were
the perfect female performers for his type of humor.
Yeah.
Yes.
That they
And
could be.
I wanna-
They could be sexy. They could be profane. They could be
Yeah.
funny. Sometimes all in the same scene.
He was my
And I want to give
Friend.
I want to give a special shout out. We've talked about all these different comedians, especially the male comedians, but B. Arthur in History of the World.
Yes.
She's in it for 2 minutes, and it's one of the funniest lines you'll ever hear.
Love it.
Oh, bullshit artist.
Oh, a bullshit artist.
Did you bullshit this week?
What's
tried to
interesting
bullshit
is that
this
you
I'm on my line break.
her between, like, she was a stage actress.
Yeah.
Also, puff my chest a little bit here. She was one of the first woman Marines.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She's a certified fucking badass as far as I'm
She is,
concerned.
man.
Oh yeah.
And
But
she
she
showed
was
it in
hilarious.
the Star Wars holiday special.
Oh, we don't discuss the Star Wars holiday special.
What
There's
Star
only
Wars
so
I'm
holiday
much
just
art
saying I
comedy
don't
you can
need
have
VR
tolerate.
glasses and watching Wookiees whack off. Okay, like we hit the
But
button.
but I think between Maud and History of the World Part 1, really, I don't know that you have the eyes on B. Arthur outside of those to have her be Dorothy Zbornak,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you
which
look,
then ties into Betty White,
Mm-hmm.
which brings us to Carol Burnett. I like this style of comedy. Like I will still like. We were watching the 12 Chairs this evening, literally right before we go on the show. But Angie had said, "I don't know, I've seen this one," and she was doing a puzzle, and I was watching it just to refresh my brain.
right?
And there are points where she has to like put puzzle pieces down, and is like turning her head and laughing. Like I don't even know what's going on, but it's ridiculous, and I love it.
Well, it goes even deeper.
That level of comedy between that group of actresses and everyone that Mel brought together really produced where we're at.
Yeah, and I don't want to forget either. We've been bringing up all these movies, all the great actresses and actors who've been in the movies. Marty Feldman. Can't forget Marty Feldman.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I brought it up in the beginning with being afraid of Igor. That performance, if it's possible, I think it's underrated in Young Frankenstein because everybody remembers Gene Wilder and they remember Peter Boyle and putting on the Ritz and everything, and they remember Madeline Kahn, and they remember Marty Feldman, but he is great.
He is.
In that there's nobody else who could have played that role. Not just because of the way he looks. There is just nobody else who had the timing. I still bring up the scene in when they're eating breakfast and he says, it's times like these I remember my old dad, the things he said to me. What did he say? What are you doing in the bathroom all the time? Get out and give somebody else a chance.
What? Wait, wasn't your hump on the other side? No, I don't think so.
Well, I still love the fact that
which that
Marty
joke was
Feldman
used again in.
inspired
Yes.
That joke.
Steve Tyler saw it in a movie theater. Saw Walk This Way, and Marty Feldman inspired the song of the same name. But I also love the fact that Brooks doubled down on Feldman's expressive nature in silent movie. He doubled down and really used Marty as kind of a lot of the physical, because they knew they couldn't talk. Brooks tripled down on Marty Feldman's gift for physical comedy and physical reactions. And I think he actually made the movie. I mean, DeLuise kind of could do it. Brooks could kind of do it. But I think you can't hold silent movie. It was Marty Feldman's movie. Silent movie and was really Marty Feldman was kind of the real MVP of that movie. I mean, and if you look, also too, It made fun. I always loved the fact the end of History of the World makes fun of sequels. And
Yeah.
see Hitler on ice,
Yeah.
see the Viking funeral, and I always loved the bit. It's this 2-second bit, and they see the long ship go up, and they all take the hats off, and they go
still have
like
the
this, and the
horns.
horns are still there.
See,
Yeah.
Jews in space.
In space, yeah, like,
We're
and when we were talking about jokes being reused or lines being reused in Young Frankenstein, your hump's on the other side. Oh, what hump was reused in Robin Hood
Yep.
Yeah,
when
the mole,
with
Richard
the
Lawrence's
mole? Wasn't your mole on the other? What mole?
Yes.
And I mean, I think that's the thing is with all of these movies. Like I said, I mean, Brooks's attention to detail, even if it's the bad detail.
Yeah.
Like for example, repurposing the old witch in Robin Hood from Robin Hood, the Kevin Costner movie.
Yeah.
Repurposing it as Tracy Ullman. His name was no, we changed it. It was shithouse. And I mean, just or having Roger Rees dressed up as Alan Rickman,
Yeah.
having Amy Yasbeck kind of have a similar hairstyle, to I think it was Mary
Yeah.
Elizabeth Mastrotonio. I think what was it? Was Mary Elizabeth Mastrotonio?
Yeah, Mary Elizabeth. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it was Maid Marian. I mean, right down to the Scotsman cameo. Instead of you have Sean Connery, you got a poor man's Scots actor. You get Patrick Stewart. I mean, it was just like subtle. Like I said, Mel had the the same way Weird Al Yankovic has with his parodies that
Yeah.
he does it within the universe. Because
I think you could
one of
tell
the-
that he loves the stuff that he's making fun of.
Yeah.
Because he wouldn't have
Yeah.
that attention to detail if he
Yeah.
didn't love and
because
respect.
one of the great
the stuff.
cutaways I love, it's very Hitchcockian, and I still do not know how he did it to this day. That at the end, in the middle of High Anxiety, where Nurse Diesel is like telling like don't worry, we'll get rid of him, and she has this big evil glare, and there's like it transitions to the headlights, and I just love the fact that's such the film nerd in me just kind of goes it's such a Hitchcockian transition, like the wide-eyed glare to headlights, and just the love and some of the little like subtle. Another actor that Brooks used a lot in his movies was Rudy DeLuca. He was the brace-faced hitman in High Anxiety. He was and just the attention to detail in history, because if you remember your history, and I know we're all a bunch of nerds here, I'm not going to deny it, I'm a history nerd, that Brooks even had, as Shecky Green comes in to see Dom DeLuise, Howard Morris was another actor he used a lot of. Professor Little Old Man, Little Oldman. He was the Major Dormo in History of the World Part 1, and people are like, why does that guy look familiar? Because he was Otis, he was Ernest T. Bass in the Andy Griffith Show, but he also was probably more known as an animated voice actor. Did a lot of Hanna-Barbera cartoons, most notably. He was the voice of the teen heartthrob in the Jetsons, Jet Screamer. Where Judy was the
God,
Jet
that's
Screamer. He was Jet Screamer. Baby. I'm sorry. I grew up watching Mel Brooks movies at the Cartoon Network. Sorry about that, Chief.
No, but before I
Chief.
forget, and before we get out of here, we're talking about like all of basically the company that he brought together to be in the movies.
Yeah.
But then he would also, like in silent movie, Burt Reynolds, Paul Newman, Liza Minnelli. These people wanted to work with him. We can't not mention Young Frankenstein and the late great Gene Hackman, who almost steals the whole movie in a 5-minute scene. And you don't think of Gene Hackman, you don't think comedy and Gene Hackman. You just don't. I mean, Gene Hackman can do it, but that's not what you think. But he gets the chance to do it with Mel Brooks. And he almost
Yeah.
steals the whole movie.
Cigars.
Saying, cigars.
Yeah, Gene Hackman was, he was such a great actor, but he never got a chance to do comedy and wanted to do comedy, and he was like, I need to be in this. This is
Yep.
this is what I don't care what I do. I need to be in this movie.
He wanted to shed the tough
Right,
guy
and
image.
he played tennis
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
Gene Wilder.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. I was gonna make espresso.
But the thing about history was,
So-
I was making the point of,
Do you know where that joke comes from?
No.
no,
So, when the first time Gene sat down with Mel, they were discussing the movie, and Mel is very much, oh, hey, I gotta go do this thing, gotta go do this thing, gotta go do this thing. As he was leaving, he's like, but I made espresso. and he's like, that's the story of the movie.
Yeah. And the funny thing about Frankenstein, the Young Frankenstein, is, I mean, Frankenstein it's my favorite book, and I love the original movie,
Yeah.
and I had not seen any of the sequels to the movie, and so I thought, obviously Young Frankenstein was very funny, but I didn't see it as this comedy remake of Frankenstein. And then last year during Halloween, I decided I was going to watch a whole bunch of horror movies, old ones, and I
Yeah.
did the sequels to Frankenstein. I was like, and watching Son of Frankenstein, I was like, this is Young Frankenstein. This is where everything comes from. The inspector with the one hand, and I'm sitting there, and the movie's not funny. It's not Son of
No.
Frankenstein is not a comedy movie, and I'm sitting there, I'm cracking up at everything because I had seen Young Frankenstein so many times before it, and can see it in that movie.
Well, the one I always loved is what I was making the point of history is that Mel had, like, when Shecky Green goes up to the Emperor, his major domo was going, thou art mortal, remember thou art mortal. I'm shoving it in here. But that was true with history, that, if you approach the Emperor of Rome, they major
Yeah.
domo, well, remember thou art mortal. But I mean, some of the lines in the Roman Empire part always get me is two lines. Boy, when you really die at the palace, you really die at the palace. And the other one that always gets me is Henny Youngman. Again, another famous Jewish comedian. Did a lot of the Borscht Belt as well. For young kids, you ever wonder where "Take My Wife, Please" comes from?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the line always gets me every time. It's chemist, I must talk to you. What is it, my child? I'm looking for a pack of Trojans. I just ran out. And
Listen,
I
I still have a friend, and I don't see him that much, but every time we see each other, we will say, "Hey, Josephus. Hey, motherfucker."
Hey, motherfucker.
Yeah, the scene where where they're trying to find Josephus and all that, and they bring him in and have the woman's dancing in front of him. It's like,
doing
nope,
the erotic dance.
the erotic dance, like, oh no, they get to the second guy, oh, he's dead because he's not making it. And then they get to Gregory Hines. They get to Gregory Hines, and she finishes the dance, and all of a sudden you see the fan
The
just
feather.
rise up.
I love the
Jig is
with
gone.
the
They're
Senate,
gone.
the
Go
Roman
ahead, Bella. I'm
Senate,
sorry.
where they're like, "And shall we aspire to a more noble purpose? Fuck the poor."
And you know what's interesting is that like we spend all of this time talking about his movies, and we just kind of touched on what he did for TV,
Yeah.
right? Like, he was one of the main backers of the electric company. Without the
Yeah.
electric company,
And
we
he
don't
did
have
voices on it. Yeah.
yeah.
And he
Yeah.
was
We don't have
instrumental, I think, in
Sesame Street.
special-
We don't have Fraggle Rock. He backed and cameoed in multiple of the Muppet movies
Yep.
movie,
Yep.
because
Yeah.
he really kind of put that focus on kids. And I'm going to go super deep cut. He was the executive producer of a single season sitcom on NBC, 1989, The Nut House.
I remember that. Yeah.
Well, I remember.
It was so surreal,
Yep.
but I watched all of it like 3 years ago, just because I've never seen this. I'm like, this is comedy genius. Who made this? Oh, it's Mel Brooks.
Oh, Mel Brooks. Yeah,
That
figures.
explains it.
But you're right. I mean, there is Mel. There you can see the Mel Brooks wit in Get Smart. I watched Get Smart enough as a kid. I would love watching Get Smart. I always thought it was the funniest thing ever. And Don Adams was just was great as the bumbling Maxwell Smart. Hold on, Chief. I know I can do a Don Adams impression. I can also do Pat Bertram as Mr. Haney. All those hip impressions all the kids know.
Yeah.
Get you on TikTok or TokTik or whatever.
But it goes back. It goes back again with all of that, with the movies, with Electric Company, and hearing that voice, and then years later saying, "Oh, this is Mel Brooks." Seeing the Muppet movie and seeing him in the Muppet movie. This is how we, and Bellacissa is saying again, we were Gen X. And yeah, we raised ourselves. We also watched all of these things. And we just took it. We were sponges. We took it all in. And it was like, oh, this is Mel Brooks. I mean, everybody loves Mel Brooks. As a kid, we all love Mel Brooks.
Well, the point I was going to
And
make,
I think it goes back to, that's why he is our crazy Uncle Mel.
Yeah.
He helped to raise us.
Well, the point I was going to make
then let me raise a glass.
Scene in Get Smart where they make fun of the end fight scene, and I don't know if anybody's an old school Bond fan. I love the old school Bond movies.
Yeah.
That the big fight scene at the end of Thunderball. Brooks does a send up of it in one of the episodes of Get Smart, and it's like total madness. And finally, somebody just surfaces and goes, "What the heck are we doing? What's going on here?" And I mean, I just thought taking that kind of, and if you see the episode, it's a very serious episode, and they do like everything up until like the fight scene in Thunderball, until like Mel Brooks does the Mel Brooksian twist, and and I'll even add, we're talking about leading ladies, and Mel Brooks and how to write for them. I'm going to assume the position. I'm going to add another name to this list, Barbara Feldon.
Yeah.
Who played 99. In many respects, she was, in many respects, Feldon was kind of she didn't have as big a career, but Feldon, if you notice, look at some of the roles he wrote for Madeline Kahn. Okay? Kahn could kind of handle the manic energy. But if you notice, how he wrote for Barbara Feldon as Agent 99, there's a lot of similarities there between some of the stuff, low energy stuff she wrote for Barbara Feldon as Agent 99. You can kind of see how it transitions to the more high energy stuff Madeline Kahn did.
And you can even see a little bit of Terry Garr, where Terry Garr is great in Young Frankenstein, but she's playing more of the straight role, but she's still hilarious. She's just bringing a totally different type of energy to it than Madeline Kahn is, and it goes back to Barbara Feldon. Yes.
Because, there's even, Terry Garr is another actress who can play kind of the confused every woman energy, because there's two other roles of hers I will give that she kind of plays the confused every woman, like, what the hell is going on here? Okay, the one role she did in the original Star Trek, where she was the secretary to Gary Seven. The one, Assignment Earth, where she was the role secretary to the other two people, and then when Gary Seven comes along, she's kind of like, okay, what the heck is going on here? And she kind of takes that same energy as Dustin Hoffman's kind of on again, off again girlfriend in Tootsie. Where she finally confronts
Larry
him.
Gelbart.
Larry Gelbart again. See,
you can circle that back loosely to his like comedies like Tootsie were influenced by Mel Brooks. Mel Brooks literally was singing the song Tootsie to German soldiers across the Rhine.
Yeah.
He was in the Army Corps of Combat Engineers.
Yeah. And it all roots back. Like I said, it's amazing how we talk about this, and it's what makes us laugh, why the comedy's there, and it's we've proven three things we've learned about comedy. Laughter is pain. Coping with the pain helps through laughter. And it gets us to kind of go where we need to go. And I mean, whether it be, venting, making fun of emperors that have no clothes, to you know, pointing out the historical inaccuracies, pointing out that these, history is full of bullies, and we need to make fun of the bullies. The absurdity of everything from the absurdity of life to just having a laugh to realizing we're all the same. We're all going through the same troubles, and we've just got to laugh more and come together, find out what makes us, find out our common ground. And
so basically, what you're saying is Crazy Uncle Mel is still helping us through everything.
I think
right
he's
now.
still helping us through.
Yep.
Helping us through, helping us. Because I mean, look, I mean, I hate to say it. I mean, this is when we've gone through all the stories that make us us. Okay, this is cheaper than to half of us. All of us kind of being through what we've been through. Going on a podcast and ranting about how nerdy movies saved our life, I think is cheaper than therapy for at least half of us. I mean,
You're welcome.
Ranting about how movies saved our, how movies helped us through the day, how music helped us through the day, and we've all ranted about. At least I know three of us. Brad, I don't know if you've Bell. I don't know if you've ranted about you've old man shook your fist at the sky about music on this podcast. I know at least three of us have. At one point, we've ranted about music and life, but and that's the thing I think that we need to reach out more of. That we find we're all alike. We've all gone through. We've all had these little pop culture milestones that we
Like
hit.
I've said before, as much as they want to divide us, this is the shit that brings us
This is the
together.
shit that brings us together. Talking about, hey, I saw this movie, and this is why I really hope theaters. I'm a big proponent, and you see me on Twitter. I'll tweet about it a lot. Physical media and bringing people together. Because yes, okay, yes, I'm old. Yes, I like my VHS tapes. I like to be able to pop a disc in, and not being able to worry about if the movie's streaming on streaming service du jour. Um, if I want to watch a movie, I'm going to watch a movie. And I think, but also to theaters. I mean, I can't tell you how many theaters, concerts, the shared experience. We've talked about this. We talked about the Rolling Stones. We talked about the music list. The shared experience of going out to a concert, going out for breakfast, shooting the shit afterwards. Same thing going to a movie. I mean, I could go to movies with my friends, and usually if I go to movies with my friends, we make a night of it. We'll grab a quick bite to eat, or grab a quick bite to eat after, talk about the movie, talk about life, and go home.
And what better type of shared experience do you want to have than a Mel Brooks movie? I was going to say type of movie, but even a Mel Brooks movie where you see it with a theater and everybody is enjoying themselves and laughing.
I mean,
and that's what we're missing.
Yeah.
That's what we're missing with, I just, not to date stamp this because this is going to be coming out, this episode is going to be coming out a lot later than when we're recording it, but I just saw Project Hail Mary, and I wanted to see it in a theater because I had heard so many good things about it. And instead of just watching it at home, and I still would have enjoyed it watching it at home, but I wanted to be in a theater and experience it with other people laughing at the right time and feeling the emotions they're going to feel at certain times and not just be by myself on my couch watching it. And I think Mel Brooks and Mel Brooks movies, even though we grew up most likely watching them on TV, there's still a way that it's still a shared experience for all of us that brings us together to come and talk about it all these years later.
I mean, we were breaking each other up all week. Everywhere we went, we were breaking each other up for recording this. We're like, is it going to happen? We were breaking each other up all week, like, with Mel Brooks names or just funny reactions and stuff like that, because this does, like I said, people, This will be airing after the Princess Bride episode, right? The airing order. They've already heard us ramble about Princess Bride. Okay, but I mean, us just talking about it. I mean, how it even came together is we're like, yeah, we should do it. And then all of a sudden, it's like, okay, we're going to do it. And it's mind you, I've never known any of you guys till we talk on like social media, and that was because we talked. We're just like fans of one particular podcast and branched out. And I love the fact we're all sitting here talking in this somewhat the same room.
I still blame Mike.
I blame myself. So do I.
Yeah. That we're all
Wait,
sitting
Brad.
here talking.
Brad, what did you want to say?
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say that in regards to Mel, and this is a word that gets thrown around way too easily nowadays, but he's a genius in everything he does.
Yes.
The way he works his movies and just layer upon layer, and his TV shows, and just listening to him talk about everything. I mean, you go back, like, he started out being a drummer, and how he would sit there and listen to the comedian, and he would then take over when the comedian was out. So that's how he got his start to be. And this, like, he was a voracious reader, and he read everything. And he talked about how he read all these medical journals so much that he was basically a doctor without getting a degree. And he's like, you go to him for anything you need to know, and he would, and he knew why comedy works so well. And he's a genius.
He understands the psychology of it.
Yeah.
That you're right. I mean, there is. I mean, I think there's. I mean, if you take when we've discussed this many times throughout the last couple of however long we've been on. I feel like the old telethons. Like, how long have we been on? How much have we raised so far? But I mean, the big thing is that you're right. Without Mel Brooks, comedy would have a different spin. I mean, I would put Mel up in the, they always say like Mount Rushmore list of, comedy, or Mount Rushmore list of that. Mel gets a nod, because I think without
Mel gets his own.
Mel gets his own mountain.
Yeah, Mel gets his own monument.
Mel gets his Mount Crazy Horse.
Yeah, well, here, wait. So talking about Mount Rushmore, and before we end this, and before we give a toast to Mel, because I think Anthony wanted to toast Mel, and we should.
Yes, that's what
I want to go to everybody, and just really fast, favorite Mel Brooks movie. Brad, go ahead.
I mean, they're all so great. I think my favorite, just because of how much I can go back to it over and over again, would probably be Spaceballs. It was the first movie I saw. I wasn't a big sci-fi guy growing up. I was more into horror, but it was the first one I saw. It was my dad rented it. It was always on WPIX channel 11. So it was the one that I've seen the most. I quote it all the time. I mean, now that I've rewatched High Anxiety, that one's probably going to be even more on an infinite loop. But Spaceballs has, like, that's the number one spot for me right now.
Bill.
High Anxiety. That's the one. That's the first one I saw, was High Anxiety, and it was on HBO. And I remember my folks were like cracking up laughing. That was the first one I really saw and really loved, and they were like, "Oh, you love Young Frankenstein." And then my grandfather mistakenly showed me Blazing Saddles, but as a kid, like, 10-year-old, heard you like Mel Brooks. We'll watch Blazing Saddles. And but I would definitely say High Anxiety. That was the first Mel Brooks movie I saw. Was High Anxiety, and there's just so much humor. And I mean, the one we talk about humor, the one I love is in Young Frankenstein, where the two people are having the conversation, and you realize they're having the conversation in English. Then when they get to Germany, they're having the conversation in Yiddish. It's the same conversation. As you realize it's the same let them. But definitely,
Bella.
I would say High Anxiety, just because of the humor involved, and it was just like the first Mel Brooks movie I saw. And I still quote it to like my mother this day, and she'll just look at me and go like, "What is wrong with you? Like, why did I show you that movie?" So
Blame
I
Mel
would definitely
Brooks.
say it's High Anxiety.
Bella.
Blazing Saddles. Nothing will ever top it. It is the greatest commentary on life across generations. It's also the first one I watched. It was the only movie I have ever watched my father fall out of a chair laughing at. And specifically, it was the campfire scene.
I was about to say that. It was
absolutely the campfire scene. And he's rolling tears pouring out of his eyes. And he's seen it a million times by the time I see it, right? Absolutely. I think, as Mel Brooks put it, it's maybe not the best, but it's definitely the funniest.
It's so dumb.
Yeah.
It's stupid, but,
yes.
But
it's
funny.
the funniest thing.
It's definitely
of all these
blazing
John Ford westerns. And it's like these, like it's a send up to a point, like the ending closing thing. You see Gene Wilder with the popcorn still.
Yep.
And they ride off into the sunset, get halfway up, go to the animal wranglers, and ride off into the sunset of the town.
Yeah.
Only Mel Brooks could get away with that. The hero riding off in a town car, or even like, the hero riding into town with Count Basie. And just so you reinforce the joke, like he's riding in and all of a sudden there's the Basie orchestra with Count Basie at the piano, and it just comes up, high fives, Bard, and continues playing. And only Mel Brooks could get rid of, shoot the whole Basie orchestra in a desert, playing April in Paris for a 2-second joke in a movie.
Anthony.
As much as I love Blazing Saddles for its commentary, and as much as I have a soft spot for Spaceballs, because much like Bella, Spaceballs was the first movie I can recall my dad crying laughing at. I still have to go with my favorite of all time being History of the World Part 1 because it's so absurd but so much a commentary on history being written by the victors.
Yep.
Yes.
And so blatantly so. So, and being a history nerd and a film history nerd and all of those things, it all just kind of works to, I can quote that movie as much as I can quote Blazing Saddles and Blazing Saddles asterisk, not me admitting I had a bowl of soup, beans, and ham before this. So.
Anthony,
I'm just
I would say number 2 is History of the World for me.
Absolutely. It's very, very close.
It's like
I'm just really happy that
History of the World for me.
I'm really happy that we did this and none of us had the same answer because I'm going to go with Young Frankenstein. And it's because from what I remember, that's the first comedy I remember, and for it being the first comedy I remember really imprinting on me, it helped to shape not only what I thought comedy should be, but it helped to shape my outlook on life, and it led me into more Mel Brooks, which then helped to shape my outlook on comedy and my outlook on life, because then as you get older, you start to see the levels that he's working at. But Young Frankenstein is just, and I took it from, as I said, I don't know if it's Brooks or if it was a reviewer who said it, but it's a beautiful film.
It is.
It's made with love, but it's also raunchy. And it's lowbrow, and it's consistently hilarious. Yeah. And I will never get tired of watching it. And for me, too, I think all of us with Mel Brooks, it's like Young Frankenstein's my favorite, but then Blazing Saddles is it's right there. And now rewatching History of the World, I said to myself, I want to rewatch History of the World again because I forgot how funny it was. So it's all very close. But for me, it's Young Frankenstein.
Now, you said that you're surprised, you're surprised and you're happy that we all have different answers. I'm surprised that we didn't all come to the agreement that we loved Dracula Dead and Loving It.
God almighty.
I love Dracula Dead and Loving It.
Although
I will admit that the first time I watched that was in a juvenile correctional facility because I was more of a shithill kid than I was a baby face. But yeah, it was hysterical, especially being a fan of like Bram Stoker's.
Yeah.
Like I love Bram Stoker's. It's the best translation to film of Bram Stoker's book. I love that Mel Brooks took the piss out of it and did so with Leslie Nielsen and Steven Weber.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, listen, Mel Brooks, Steven Spielberg, George Lucas, they're all going to have a couple of misses on their filmography.
I will give you, as a horror fan, I'll be honest with you, that there are only two people in all of the Dracula retellings. There are only about two people who have really nailed Renfield since maybe Dwight Fry. And both of them are in comedic retellings of Dracula. One was Peter MacNicol in Dracula Dead and Loving It. And two was Artie Johnson in Love at First Bite. Yes.
That's another great movie.
Another great movie with, I don't know what the man was drinking, but he smelled like the Volga at high tide. George Hamilton, again, Zorro the Gay Blade. George Hamilton. And I mean, I will put the fact that Peter MacNicol and Artie Johnson were about my personal picks for who played Renfield, right up there with who played Renfield first was, the actor Dwight Fry, in a lot of the old Dracula movies. And I mean, I'll put those two guys right up with Dwight Fry and be like, yeah, they were the best actors to take on that character. And I know Dracula Dead and Loving It gets a lot of vinegar thrown at it for reasons. But it does, I mean, you're right. Steven Weber does come in, Nielsen does come in, MacNicol comes in as Renfield, and, Amy Yasbeck comes in as Mina Hart. I mean, Amy Yasbeck doesn't do a bad, and she's another one you kind of sleep on the fact.
Yeah, she was
another
late
one. She's kind of another one like Brooks and his wife, because you know who Amy Yasbeck's husband was.
Yep.
John Ritter.
John Ritter.
Another one you wouldn't think, like John Ritter got that, Jack Tripper got that. Did he take a conquest at the Regal Beagle we don't know about? Jack, twins, now, my place.
Well, you know what? We're not going to end on
on my bad Larry impression from Three's Company.
No, that was a good Larry impression. We're not going to end on talking about Dracula Dead and Loving It. We're going to end on what Anthony wanted to do, and I think we should all, and everybody out there who is listening, we should all raise a glass and say happy birthday to, as Brad said, the genius.
Here's to 100 more. Thanks, Uncle Mel.
Thanks, Uncle Mel.
Salute.
Thank you. Yeah.
Salute.
I mean, that was the other thing, too. The piano
L'chaim.
L'chaim. The piano player in High Anxiety was Murphy Dunn, who was the piano player in the Blues Brothers.
The Blues Brothers.
And
it all comes back. This is the season finale of season 3 of Pop Culture Basement. That goes back to the season premiere of season 3 of Pop Culture Basement. So good job, Bill. I like that. We
all bring it back to the topics you covered. I mean, it's what it is. It's because, and I made this assumption, I think, on the Princess Bride episode. We're like, if that TV show, science TV show Connections, dropped acid and was an 80s baby. We will connect everything. And I mean, I think that's the thing we connect is just, it all comes back to fine Jewish comedians sharing their tradition, and may we find the next voice to find us through humor, the dark times, the absurdity of life, and keep rolling with what Uncle Mel taught us. Go with it and make us laugh, because God knows we need one these days. We need a laugh.
We do. Well, you know what?
So, salute to Mel.
Salute. We're going to get out of here in a little bit, what I want to do is first, I want to drop a couple of podcast promos because I've had a lot of other podcasts that have been helping me out with playing the Pop Culture Basement promo on their shows. So I'm going to take a break right here, and I'm going to drop a couple of promos for the audience to listen to, and we're going to come back, and we are going to end season 3, and I'm going to kick these people out of my my podcast home. No, I'm actually going to thank them. But listen to these podcast promos, and we will be right back.
Imagine a podcast that celebrates the things we love. Why spend time being so angry and cynical about our fandoms? Join me, the irredeemable Shag, for a show where we're just trying to be happy. The Once Upon a Geek podcast. Our discussions focus on a variety of geeky subjects that we're passionate about. While the topics will be ever-changing, our focus will be on science fiction, comic books, what it means to be a geek in this world, and other nostalgia-fueled ideas. Life is short. Focus on the positive. Find your joy. The Once Upon a Geek podcast, part of the Fire and Water Podcast Network.
Hello, how are you? This is Sean Merrick from the podcast Worst Collection Ever, where myself and my wife, Jennifer Stansfield Merrick, talk about the weird, the funny, and absolutely insane comic books in our comic book collection. Are they good? Probably not, but we're going to have fun anyways. We took a little break, but now we're back with brand new episodes, so please check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, even check us out on YouTube, Angry Hero 79. You can subscribe, you can review, you can rate on there, and we would love to hear from you. So check you then.
Grab your bat microphone, it's time to start the show.
Welcome to the Bat Pod, a Batman comic book discussion podcast.
What are you doing? That's my line.
I'm starting the show. I was waiting on you. We're starting the show.
I'm the one that says that. You're my new co-host, where we talk about back issues of Batman, could be in Detective Comics, World Finest.
Could we do some Shadow of the Bat and maybe some Nightwing, maybe some Batgirl?
Absolutely.
Can we also define where my co-hosting parameters start and end? I can't start the show, but I can definitely co-host it.
Well, maybe we'll let you start the show.
Okay, at least I get to pick one of the books we're covering on each episode, and you can pick the other?
Absolutely.
Can I close out the show? Can I bring friends? Will there be snacks?
What is your favorite bat snack?
Cucumber sandwiches.
Join Bill Beer and J. David Weeder every 2 weeks on the Bat Pod. You can find us on your favorite podcast app.
Grab your headphones, listen up, you know you love it. Drop the facade. Like the Dark Knight Detective, they've got some perspective. They're a pure crime-fighting collective. It's the Bat Pod.
And we are back. I just brought it up that this is the end. This is the season finale. It's not the end of the show. God forbid. What else? What else would I do with my free time? This is the season finale.
I'm not writing goodbye in rocks. That's it.
This is the season finale of season 3 of Pop Culture Basement. And before I get out of here, I want to thank, first of all of the listeners that I've had this season. I have seen the listening numbers grow over this season. I am really grateful for that. It's because I've had great guests on. There's 4 of them right here that I have on right now. And Angie, who did not come onto this show. I want to add her onto there too.
She didn't. She said she was ill prepared.
Oh, it's okay. I'm playing. Tell her I said hi. But it's because of the great guests I've had on through this whole season. I'm happy that I'm seeing the numbers of the listeners grow because, you know, I do this as a hobby, but it's nice to know that there are people listening and there's people out there who are interested in what we are all talking about. So I really wanted to thank all the listeners out there that I've had, not only for this season, but for the first 2 seasons of Pop Culture Basement. And we're going to be coming back very, very soon. I need to decompress. I need to take a little bit of a break. We are going to have a mailbag episode between this episode and the season premiere of season 4 of Pop Culture Basement. So if you have any comments on any of the episodes, not only from this season, but any of the episodes that I've released, love to hear them. You can find me on any of the socials. I'm on Twitter, because I don't call it that other thing, Facebook, Instagram, Threads. What other? Blue Sky, Blueski, as Brad would call it. Just look for Pop Culture Basement, and I am on there. I always appreciate anybody leaving a comment. I would love for people to go on Apple or Spotify, leave a review. I would prefer like a 4-star, 5-star review. That'd be great. But yeah, supposedly it helps with the algorithm. That's what they tell me. That's what the kids tell me these days. I don't know. Whatever. But it would be great. Please share the show on the social medias when you see it, like these guys do. And if there's any ideas that anybody has for shows or what they'd like to hear, reach out on Twitter, reach out on Facebook. Would love to hear from you. Guys, Brad, do you want to share your credentials, or do you want to remain relatively anonymous?
No, doesn't matter either way. No, but just want to say this is not goodbye. This is just see you later. And over on the Hellspawn app, I am at Ace of Joshi, or you can look for me as Big Beard Booty Daddy. Over at Blueski, I am Big Beard Booty Daddy. I'm not on there a ton. Once in a while, I'll go on for like 2 or 3 day stretch where I'm on there a lot, and then not on there much for a couple of weeks, and then back and forth, just depending on how I'm feeling. But those are the two main my two main areas.
Bella, how about yourself? Do you want to let people know where they can find you, or do you want to remain relatively anonymous?
As if I'm ever anonymous. I'm on Twitter at the Bellacissa. I will give my fair warning disclaimer that I always give. I am very loud. I am an atheist, and I am a liberal. So if those do not appeal to you, do not follow me.
And we would not want you any other way.
Come on.
Bill, how about yourself? You want to tell people where they can shout out to you?
I don't know why. I mean, there's there's probably thousands of your audience just ready to do the Tom Jones.
I wish there were thousands of them.
And I'm just saying, there's all your fans ready to swarm me in public, and throw the panties on stage or whatever, like Tom Jones or something. But sure, why not? You can find me as DarthBill52 on Twitter, and that's where I kind of mostly most days. I mean, I probably am on other apps, but you find me somewhere. I'm pretty much the same guy. So I mean, I'm not very original. You teach me one trick, and I just repeat it for everything else. That's. Like I said, that's pretty much it. The only other thing I will shamelessly plug, because I probably plugged this podcast the other night, is I'm part of a group of people who every Friday night, 9:00, if you're around. The movie could vary week to week, but we do something called FFB Movie Night, based off of the name is based off the wino group in Street Trash, the Flatbush Flea Brigade. In Street Trash, we all got hammered one night and thought it was a great name, and we stuck with it. A lot of my stories involve alcohol and copious amounts of it. So yeah, there's always fun to that. People think I'm Dean Martin. That's the thing. I think I'm the second coming of Dean Martin. I don't even get my room. But I digress. And every Friday night we do a watch along. Could be a horror movie. Could be. We've done everything from, we Blazing Saddles last week to somebody did some obscure Korean horror movie. We have a group of us. We pick the movie. You want to come around and say, hey, look for that on that Twitter as well. 9:00 Friday nights. If you're around and want to watch some strange movie with a bunch of people that should probably be in the state mental institution, stop on by. We're glad to have you. But that's pretty much the only thing I'm involved in besides this. I mean, I just podcast and talk about trashy horror movies. I wish I was exciting. I wish I was exciting.
It definitely caters to my audience, so don't worry.
Yeah, well, yeah, your audience is your audience. I'm not going to badmouth the audience, but your audience is pretty much, nerds and weirdos like me.
Yeah.
So
we can smell our own.
I will pass the mic to Anthony, and he can decide whether or not he wants to. Give his name, rank, and serial number.
Oh, that was to me.
That's to you, buddy. Anthony is starting the 12 Chairs podcast after this.
Yeah, the 12 Chairs podcast will discuss
2000 feet
every
in
single
climate,
film
folks.
over the course of the next 12 weeks. I will be sending out a syllabus in your emails. Oh, wait. No. The only social media that I actually publish is Elmer2821 on Reddit. Any other social media I have, it's going to be very much like the federal government or that job you applied for when you were 22. Don't call us, we'll call you. But yeah, in regards to anything else, I have a couple of projects in the pipes. You never know. You might see me outside of the podcast realm, maybe, hopefully, here soon. But we'll see how that pans out, right?
Yeah, always mysterious, Anthony. I love it. Although he's not like shadowed tonight, so it was a little bit different.
It's because I fixed my light.
I know. I wanted to make
I
wanted to make you seem cooler than you were, but you didn't have to say that you just got a ladder and fixed your light.
yeah. So I didn't even get a ladder. It's just I have
lazy.
orangutan arms and I can reach up to
there
the
you go.
ceiling.
Well, guys, I do want to say again, thank you not only for this episode, thank you for the Princess Bride episode, and thank you for just supporting the show. Just always not even just being on, but just always listening to the episodes, giving me encouragement. It's a very 2026 type of relationship that we all have that none of us has ever met each other in person. But I talk to all of you probably almost every day. So I talk to you guys more than some of my family members. But I am very happy to. And I always I always end these shows off. I kind of do a little summation off the cuff and thinking about Mel Brooks, thinking about season 3 of the show and this being the season finale. I just wanted to say that we talked about Crazy Uncle Mel and how Crazy Uncle Mel helped to raise all of us, and that he had a kind of company of actors and actresses that he would have in all of his movies, and he kind of made it family. And I think they were people that he respected, but that people that he had good friendships with that only grew over the movies and projects that they did together. And I want to say that I feel like with this podcast, I've kind of gathered together a little bit of a company that I will call on. And now it's been 2 episodes that I've had them on group podcasts. So I wanted to thank you guys as this season ends, just for, as I said, for, inspiring me to do this and to kind of help keep pushing me to do this, because I appreciate that you guys appreciate this and want to be involved in it. And, for some of you, I'm the reason why you go on podcast now. Sorry, Bellacissa. And for others,
you did this.
For others, I'm the reason why they actually got to be on the podcast. Brad, I think, Bill. I think Bill was on them before. Anthony, I think this might have been the first time. So I mean, that's fun. So I'm kind of glad, growing up as a movie fan, and I'm into history and movie history and reading about people like Mel Brooks, who, like I said, and being into shows like MASH, and you have shows like Cheers, where it's like a found family, and I kind of feel that way about this show. And it's not just you guys, it's other people I've met through this podcast and through other podcasts. And, that's the fun part of it. I'm not getting paid to do this, unfortunately. I do it as a hobby. I do it to work those creative muscles that I felt like were dormant for way too long. So if you can make some friends out of the deal, that's even better. So, we raised a toast to Uncle Mel. Happy 100th. And I want to raise a toast to you guys also. Thank you not only for helping me through this season, but through the whole life of the show. And I'm excited to start another season soon. And I'm excited to share it with you guys and with all the listeners out there. Thank you to all the listeners, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.
It's good to be the king.